let's begin the 2023 Game of the Year Wars. It's not really a war. It's more of just a discussion, a celebration, a little bit of a debate. Dan's ready to attack, but that's all right. Welcome to part one of our Game of the Year Wars 2023. And more importantly, Happy New Year to everybody who's joining us for this. Thank you for checking us out on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you happen to listen or watch. We appreciate it. And also special thanks to our buddy John over at, help me with the name of the channel, One Light. What was it?
One More Light.
One More Light. Go check out his channel. He's creating some really positive content. He highlighted us recently, which is awesome. So go give him a subscribe and check out some of his content too. So thank you, John, for that. But Happy New Year to everybody. And hey, I brought this. I'm organic now, guys, in 2024. Organic. This organic chocolate stout. I have no idea if it's any good. We're gonna find out together whether or not I'll actually be drinking.
So are all other beers not organic? Are they all like synthesized? Like
I think they just needed a word to fit in this part of the logo, so they just put organic on there. Yeah, I don't know.
That sells.
Yeah. All right, let's try it.
Mine doesn't say organic, so it's all fake stuff.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I have the one you showed us earlier, Tim, in the chat. Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, the Dragon's Milk. It's a great label though too.
Stout.
I like that.
Like
hey, this isn't bad. Samuel Smith's organic chocolate stout. I recommend if you like a good. It's a really like smooth chocolate flavored stout. If you like that.
God, I love chocolate. Dude's Evening Stout is the best chocolate stout I've ever had tasted in my life.
Dude, I was so jealous that I didn't
get
one of those. They were expensive, but I totally would have gone for them.
Yeah, they were for a 4-pack too. But when you see it's like 14 or 13% alcohol, and you're like the big cans too, it's not like whenever you ask for a stout that's that high in alcohol content at the bar, it's like a tiny little glass, like a whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do, and this one's pretty low. I was gonna say this doesn't taste super strong. It's only 5% compared to the Dragon's one. I think is 11.
Yeah, this one's 11. Yeah. So I'll be one drink Jeff for the show.
Yeah.
I'll
all right.
A little buck wild.
Well, Happy New Year to everybody. Of course, we're recording this in 2023, but it'll release here in about 36 hours or so, and it will be 2024. So let's look back at this year. Here's the rules for how we do things. We do our best to not spend too much time unless there's some kind of huge news on news and new games we're playing. We'll circle back to that at the end of this month and then every week for the rest of the year. So don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to talk about new stuff and news and all that, unless, again, there's something super huge that we have to talk about. What we'll do instead is we're going to create some shared rankings of some things from 2023, specifically about best story and best music for this week. And in the coming episodes, we'll talk about best small game, and we'll explain our rules for how we're defining small game, because indie is a little bit of a, I don't know if divisive is the right word, but it's a little bit of a...
it's debated.
It's a debated title to use. What defines indie? So we're calling it small game. We'll define that together. Best combat. We'll have something for best visuals, and of course, best overall game of the year. So we have a bunch of categories to get through. We're going to space them out a little bit because it gives us plenty of time to talk about these games. And without a doubt, by the time this is over, I usually have 2 or 3 new games added to my backlog that I've kind of skipped. This almost happens every year. There might be some years where there's not as many, but one or multiple of you will champion some part of some game that I'm like, crap, I have to go play that now. Like, that sounds really good. It happens. Happens every time. So I'm sure it will happen here again. And hopefully for you listening, if you want to comment, let us know what you think. Did we get the list right, wrong? What do we leave out? But also, what did we talk about that now you're excited to go play? That part to me is the most fun because it is about celebrating these games. It's not really about being right, even though I am right most of the time. It's fine.
Damn it, you took my joke. I was going to issue a disclaimer that, like, guys, I know I'm right.
You took my joke.
About compromise, okay? listeners, this is about compromise.
It's about compromise. It's about friendship. It's about getting along. 2024, we're going to get along. It's the year of getting along. Okay, last year was the year of P, and they tried to throw us off with Lies of P. Didn't work. Okay, last year was the year of P, which means positivity. This coming year, 2024, is the year of getting along. I'm calling it right now.
You're lying about P right now.
That's true. That's true. So here's our rule. I'm going to share our screen for most of these, and we'll go through a list. We'll create a list of different categories, and we'll organize them. Here are the rules that we typically try to follow. This doesn't mean that you have to follow this. good listener or watcher, or even us on the show for your own personal list, do whatever you want with your own personal list. I don't care if you rank 2023 games and you include a bunch of games from multiple years ago. That's fine. That's your call. But for our purposes, this must be a new game from 2023. So we're going to have a remaster, remake type category later, which will ignore that rule, of course. But this must be these categories must be a new release from 2023. And we'll do a couple of rounds. We'll have a full list of games, and then we'll just name the ones we want to at least have considered, or at least maybe say something about, because it's like, listen, this isn't going on the list, but I need to talk about it just for a second because I love it, especially in this category. And then we'll narrow that down. The goal is to narrow it down to 20 as quickly as we can, because then it's about narrowing it to 10 and then ranking those 10. So that's when we start to do some wheeling and dealing, and as Jeff says, compromise. We're going to compromise here.
Wheeling and dealing.
Typically for a tiebreaker, since there's 4 of us, so we'll rank the shared lists. So let's say we get to a point where we can't really agree. We don't feel good about a top 4 or a top 6, even whatever that is. What I want to do this year, and we could do it differently, but I don't want us to go one at a time and name them and just see the scores adding up. I actually want you to send me your ranking of whatever's left in a separate message, and then I have a little spreadsheet that will tally it up, and I'll learn as you guys learn with what the order is based on that. That way, it influences our. I don't think we've ever really voted trying to get points or take away points from certain games, but it just makes it more fun.
I can't do that math in my head.
Yeah. No.
Also, that's just me. That's
it's
just
so
me.
funny. I'm
petty.
so bad at math and numbers. I would have never even thought to do that. So
Yeah.
it's not even
like, wait a minute, I could do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm like,
don't accuse me of something I'm unable to do.
when someone's like, oh yeah, they were counting cards at the casino. I'm like, so they're magic. That's what like they're.
Sorcery?
They
know
superpowers.
wizardry.
Can you let them
know,
exist as a superpowered human being. That's what that is.
It's to avoid all the instant math that none of us.
He's basically Professor Xavier. That's what you're trying to tell me.
I wish.
On the off chance that even a kind of point assignment ranking still has a tie of some kind, then we'll defer to a combination of OpenCritic average, which was kind of like Metacritic, but this year I defer to that more because it combines all the different platforms and gives it an average, as opposed to giving a different average for each platform, which I understand the benefit of that sometimes. But anyway, most cases I like having the overall average. So we'll go to OpenCritic, or we've got some community voting results we can use for certain categories as well. We can always use that as a final tiebreaker.
I like that.
All right, so that's how we're going to do it. Let's jump in right away. We're going to start ranking right out of the gate, okay? We'll get to some personal list here in a minute. We're going to start ranking for best story right at the jump here. We're going to talk about best narrative in games.
There's nothing to even talk about with this category, so this is perfect. We don't even have any games to choose from this year. No stories this year at all.
Thank God, because I'm already exhausted.
Yeah,
Dan,
just thinking
Dan's
about
been
it.
hosting family. He's like, can we just get to the end of this? Whatever you guys want. Fine. So with this one, I actually, for a lot of these, I'm going to try to pull up my shared screen here. I tried to just add, for eligible games, everything I could from 2023. I'm sure I left some stuff out, but I tried to just include it. I put the little OpenCritic score right here on the right in this little column beside. Can you guys see my screen, by the way? I know last time it didn't work.
Yeah. This week I can see it. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Whatever happened that the last, whatever it was like a month's worth of time of like it's not working right. It seems to have been cleared up now. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's just the Chrome browser. I actually updated it and now it's working better, I think.
Oh. Okay.
So, there's a little octopus. That's cute. The octopus is watching this too. See this up here? I like that.
Anonymous.
Okay. So as you can see on the left here, there's just a ton of games, and so we are definitely not going to go through and name all of these. These are just a ton of games that were on my list as 2023 releases. So you guys have access to this. So what I would suggest is go ahead over and look at it on your own screen, on your phone or whatever. And no, you don't have to. You can just look at the list here and I can try to scroll through it. But that might help you be a little more ready to just name off ones you want in consideration. This first round, we're not really talking about these games. We can kind of say, I love this story, or someone can agree, but we're trying to move on as quickly as we can to get games moved over into the consideration category. So let's kick things off. We're going to go alphabetical and just keep going in that order, just so we're not trying to get all fancy with it. So it's going to go Dan, Jeff, Kyle, Tim, and it'll just go and it'll keep going that order. Dan, Jeff, Kyle, Tim. All right. So Dan, you start first. Let's move a game over. Let me know what it should be.
Final Fantasy 16.
There it is. Jeffrey?
I have no others to talk about, so
True.
That's the only game with a story this year.
That's literally the only game with a story. Let me see. I made my own list. Jedi Survivor.
Okay. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm just gonna piss people off right away. Starfield.
Yeah, dude.
Suck it, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's just give it to Starfield. They're the winners. They're the winner.
Suck it so hard.
Should we bring over
Tim's
Redfall,
going
guys?
Redfall. Yeah, Tim's going Redfall.
Yeah, Derek, that one's for you, buddy. We're bringing Redfall over.
And then Dan's going Forza Motorsport, and we're just gonna fold up shop. We're done.
Yeah.
I'm bringing over Spider-Man 2. Dan, back to you.
Marble It Up Ultra. There we go.
Marble it up.
Hold on, let me scroll through this.
What a name! What a name!
Spider-Man 2. Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I got that one. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay. Jeffrey?
I choose business ethics. I'm gonna say that at least 16 more times.
I think keep saying it. Yeah.
Octopath Traveler 2.
Octopath. Nice.
You know what?
That's a good one.
That's a shame on me. Shame on me.
Yeah. That's Dan's fault.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Can you go down a little?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I'm already struggling. Just bring over Tears of the Kingdom, but it's probably not going to make it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to bring over Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story. It's got story in the title. We might have to bring all those over.
Good story.
You know?
Yeah, just Control F and story.
Just find anything with story. We have to bring it.
Yeah.
Control F.
I'll scroll down to the bottom here. Dan, what else should we bring over?
Scroll.
We'll do one more of these, and then I'll just start kind of naming some, and you guys say yeah or nah.
Scrolling. Jeez, just way too many video games this year. This is insane.
A lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crap.
There are some that are not here too. I wouldn't pick them for this category, but there are some that are not here too that I'm like, yeah, but when would I ever talk about those? It's such a busy year.
It's true. That's a good point.
I mean, I want to say Hogwarts, just even though I haven't played it yet, but I feel like you guys super enjoyed Hogwarts. So
I think
the story.
I liked it. Yeah.
The story. Yeah.
Yep. Jeff?
Talos Principle 2.
Nice. Kyle, what do you think?
Oh, already back to me. Go up to towards the top, release, and scroll up just a little bit.
I think there's a big one at the top that haven't moved over yet still.
Say what it is. Say it. Say it. Say it.
That's on Kyle. That's on Kyle, dude.
I don't want the heat.
It's in the A's. It's in the A's.
Except the heat.
Oh, Atomic Heart.
Oh, yeah, Alan Wake 2. Duh. Yeah.
Sure.
That one's okay, I guess. It won a statue for it. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring over Hi-Fi Rush. Okay. So now we've all brought over a couple of games. Let's just go through and I'll name them. Ones that jump out to me, and you guys either say yay or nay if it's even what we're talking about. And by the way we usually handle this too, for those of you listening and watching, especially if it's the first time you've seen us do this, if not enough of us have played it or experienced it, or we haven't played it enough of it, we usually just say, hey, I'm sure that's great, I've heard it's great, we just can't talk about it, so we can't really rank it. So sometimes we leave it off for that reason. I'm gonna go ahead and bring over Assassin's Creed Mirage, unless someone's really opposed to it. It has a story, whether or not we like it.
Hey guys, it has a story.
Yeah, it has one.
I'm not bringing over Highland Song or After Image, although those two did jump out at me as games that have stories to them, unless you want me to bring them over for consideration.
Yeah, Highland Song is more of like a complete, the whole thing. It's not really the story that makes it good, in my opinion. It's like,
and I didn't play enough of After Image, although I do have a Let's Play of it up on our channel. It is a fun game, and it has cool lore. I just haven't.
I hear Space for the Unbound is I don't think any of us has really. I played the demo, didn't like it, but I hear the story is really good. Just wanted to shout that out.
We got Avatar, but I don't think it's got a great story, guys.
Do you guys play Avatar? Oh yes, sweet! I get to crap on Avatar's story on this podcast. Yes,
yes,
and it's required to justify not moving it over. Yeah, story's fine. We can move on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Did anyone play enough of Cereza and the Lost Demon, the Bayonetta Origins game, to say if it's? I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just the demo, though. I didn't buy it because it's still like $70. So
I think Sea of Stars is worthy of being at least considered.
Let's bring Sea of Stars over. I want to bring over Bramble.
Bramble for sure.
Let me get Sea of Stars so we don't forget that one.
Stars
Good
C.
call. By the way, I just got.
Seals.
I know Scars Above is kind of a swimming in 6s. It looks like not even 7s. But I did grab it on sale. It's on sale on the Steam winter sale right now. I'm interested in that one.
Oxenfree too. Since we're here.
Yeah. Good call.
We are here.
The story for Persona 5 Tactica. Anybody gonna be able to talk about
played
that
enough of it to be like, yeah, the story's good, you know.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anybody really talking about it either.
Yeah. Okay. We're kind of close to it. Slay the Princess.
Slay the Princess. Yeah, you've talked about that one a little bit.
Yeah, that story. I mean, it's literally a story game. So like that story is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
All right, I'm gonna bring over Convergence, a League of Legends story. I've played enough to be able to tell you. I could give you some of the high points of the setting.
Oh, Diablo 4 story is amazing. Bring that over.
Diablo 4.
I like that one too. Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't even have it on my personal list. Whoops.
Oopsies. Dredge just have some lore, but I wouldn't call it a story. It's not something I'm going to champion in this category. Cocoon has a weird ending. I'm like, I don't know what's happening in the story, but it's cool.
That
but
story,
it's not a story, though. I don't know.
There, but it's like so abstract that I couldn't explain it to you.
Yeah, same.
Like it's just tackling such big ideas that I'm like, I'm going to need like Neil deGrasse Tyson to assess this story for me. I don't understand any of this.
Yep. Agreed. I bet you Rock City probably has a great narrative.
Yeah, especially with that cast, right, guys? Right?
Come on, everybody.
Yeah.
Expanse.
Yeah.
The Expanse, yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is that going to be under T? There it is. The Expanse. Yeah, I mean that's a story.
I really like that story. So yeah.
That is a story game. Like that's what it does. Yeah.
True.
Okay. I know a lot of people love Chia and the little story that it tells, but none of us really got into that one.
No.
Okay.
The only other one I had was Planet of Lana. I don't know how you feel about that, Tim, because you're the only one that beat it, I think, right?
It's got a nice little narrative to it.
Yeah. It's like an understandable one without words. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I agree with
that.
There's
an emotional core to it, and I liked it.
All right, I'm going to look on my personal list here to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. You guys feel free to throw out anything else before we move into trimming it down to 10.
That's all I had, but I
Like
could
a Dragon?
be missing something.
Oh yeah, Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
I had mixed feelings on this one because it is a remake, so I was gonna leave it off just to make room for other things.
Oh, Ishin? Oh yeah.
What about,
but I
what
would
about
bring
Gaiden?
over Gaiden.
Gaiden?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I might be not talking about Ishin a lot just to kind of like make room for other stuff.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
I like.
We never got it here, but it is a remake.
I'm bringing Jusant over. I'm not saying it's got a strong story, but it's there and it's interesting.
That was one that was on tip of my brain, and I did not put it on my list at all because I'm an idiot. But I do like the quiet storytelling of that one. If you choose to read the notes, it's there.
Yeah. I didn't play enough Mortals of Avium to know if it's got a story.
The story is
not.
about. It's not worth talking about at all.
Hey.
No.
Last Train Home is pretty cool, but not something I'm going to fight for. And same with Liza P. Like great setting, but as you know, our old buddy Derek, he would say it's got a great story. I just didn't get far enough in it to tell you that he talks about how there's things that develop and unfold that are really interesting. I just didn't play enough of it to know.
Yeah. Okay. Because I've heard good things about not just from Derek, like the story of that game as well. Mm-hmm. Did you already mention at the top that we're not selecting remakes for these categories?
Yeah, so no.
Just want to make sure that we don't get the wrath of Gaston.
2023. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
New game in 2023, folks.
Listen, Gaston can sit there and
just
listen.
Just to say, a Dead Space remake and Resident Evil 4 remake had great stories. Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Move
Cyberpunk and
yeah, Phantom Liberty definitely would win this whole category, but it is
my call.
not a full
absolutely.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else missing. I had some in consideration that I didn't play enough to fight for. And those were Fire Emblem Engage and Song of Nunu, which I thought both could have interesting narratives when it's all said and done. I just didn't play them enough.
Emblem had a really good cast of characters, but like that story, I was not into this time around.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because the last game had such like the three kingdoms or whatever. It was so story driven. Like,
is the Dredge story not present enough, or is it like too atmospheric or something for it to be
so it's more
here?
of I'll move it here just so it's listed because it does have a cool story that it tells, but it's less about the story and more about kind of like exploring and unlocking stuff. Like there's people that you talk to that kind of tell you some of the lore, and there is a decision you make at the end that kind of makes the ending very different.
Yeah, I was reading about that and how it's like you get one ending or another basically.
But I didn't feel like throughout the game I was ever wondering what happens next or what happens to this character or what are they going to do. It was more about discovering something that had happened a long time ago. So and
what
fishing,
about
a lot of fishing.
Dave the Diver's story isn't really like a story proper, right?
No, and I played that game for 30 plus hours, and I love that game, and it's just super silly.
Okay, I'm just making sure. That's what it felt like to me with the 3 whatever hours I put into it, which isn't that much.
Super lighthearted. Doesn't mean it's a bad story, but it's not compelling either.
Super charismatic game. Not all charismatic games have a great story. That's,
correct. Yeah. Some people get mad at me for saying that. I just didn't think it was anything worth talking through.
Goodbye Volcano High. Anybody? One of y'all had to have played this, right?
Listen,
I have the platinum.
Hold on a minute, dude.
I know people aren't.
I knew it.
On this podcast, we're not super into the whole anthropomorphic animal thing, but the Fuga Melodies of Steel games are apparently quite good and have good stories. I just never played those. Never played those.
Fuga that. I'm not playing that. Fuga that.
I think that's everything that we need to talk about for a story. I'm just going to scroll one more time through here. Lies of P, we talked about that. I've heard it's good, but we're not going to try to defend it. Let's see.
Also, just to clarify, I actually do like anthropomorphic. I just think the faces in that game of those characters look fucking...
I do.
They look terrible.
They look awful.
In some cases, it can be...
In my opinion, I'm with you.
Remnant 2 has a lot of interesting ideas, but its story is like incoherent. So.
Okay.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
Yeah. Road 96 is don't move it over. But that's like a prequel to...
Yeah, that's right.
The first game or whatever. Yeah. So it's, and it's kind of like a Telltale experience. So, that's what it's going for. Yeah, it's kind of cool and how like it switches between characters and stuff.
I fully plan on getting and playing Shadow Gambit, although I feel bad now that I'm one of the people that is interested in it. I'm the target audience for it, and I didn't buy it. And so that studio had to make cutbacks because they didn't sell enough copies of it. So I feel super guilty about that game because it's really good. But I didn't play it enough. I only played the demo. So I don't know
Star Trek Resurgence is, I did not play it long enough, but it is a Telltale type experience.
Oh, okay.
And I assume it eventually has you making because it's like a 1080p like Xbox 360 type release. It just doesn't look good, but my understanding is the story's really good and does have you making tough calls as a captain. So
I'm curious about this sequel to the Backbone. It's actually a prequel, I think, but anyway, it is a fully separate game. That was a weird first game, but
super dark for some reason. Yes,
and it goes some places. SteamWorld Build does have a little SteamWorld style story, but nothing that I would.
F123 has a story mode. Hey, good for them for putting that in there.
Good for you.
Good for you.
We didn't
play the Legend of Heroes games because we suck. I know those.
Yeah, are really cool I'm sure that we'd be talking about these games.
Dude, there are like some streamers that I'm like buddies with that are like they swear by like this is like now this series, and then there's the other one too. There's like all these other interconnected because
Trails of Cold Steel or whatever.
There's the Sky one.
There's 3
They're all
connected.
Trilogies.
I think there's like 4 now, but
and they're like,
so these are old games that were brought over now. Like no,
not really.
No, they're new ones. They have a classic look to them.
Japan gets them first, and then we get.
I thought it was like the first time released in USA, but they were.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. Perhaps, yeah. I get them all mixed up, but people super love them. Love them.
It's so funny you put the famously bad games in our consideration.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's
Destinies. Oh boy!
Right
I
next
saw
to
Skull Island up there too. That's funny.
That's cute.
Thirsty Suitors, man, I got to play more of that. That game's really cool.
Ugly's got a really interesting setting. Don't know if its stories gets any good, but that's an interesting setting.
Under the Waves is supposed to be a story-driven game by the Detroit Become Human team, but like a sub team of that team. I forget their name. Quantic Dream or Quantum Dream, something like that.
All right, so I think that is it for this category. So let's organize the ones that we've moved over and start and see what we have to trim down here. All right.
I'm already tired reading the first 10.
So we have
I see
like, we have to cut these.
We have 24. We got to trim these down to 10. Let's just get rid of 4 to start with, right? That always helps to get us to 20. It feels accomplished. Feels like we've accomplished something to get it down to. I'm going to hide this. This gets a little. Yeah, there we go. Let's hide the score. The score doesn't matter. This is just our opinion on the game.
All right.
Okay. So under consideration here for to get into the top 10, or let's even start with 20. What do we not need to keep on here?
Jusant.
Maybe. Yeah. That could be one that
maybe
stays.
Dredge too, because of what you were saying about it.
Yep. Yep, those are similar in the way they tell their stories. There's like
Right.
you're discovering things that happened a long time ago and uncovering why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so those might.
Mage Seeker, was there enough to discuss on that, or?
I didn't finish it, but I loved the setting. The setup was really good.
I like the setup a lot. I like Convergence as a game way more. Prefer the story of Mage Seeker. But both I don't feel particularly strongly of like
these probably aren't going to make the top 10.
The top 10, yeah.
Zelda
Which
might
means
not
they're
either,
terrible, obviously.
Zelda probably won't either, to be honest.
It might not, but I do have some strong opinions on the story, but I'm not going to like, it's not a hill I'm going to die on compared to the other strong narratives that are out there. But
we might end up, just because of, obviously there can only be 10 if we follow our own self-imposed rules that we've totally made up.
Yeah.
I don't think that Expanse will make it, even though I really like that game. The game is
because not enough of us have played it.
That, and I mean, I've certainly played other Telltale games that I'm like, oh man, that story. Bro.
Yeah, I have too.
Like I mean, it's a really good story, but it's yeah. Wolf Among Us was one of those for sure.
All right, I'll put it here.
I don't know how you felt, Kyle, about the.
I didn't even finish it. I liked it, but I didn't have a lot of compelling to finish it.
It's got a cool finale, but that's. I don't know. There's just really, really strong contenders this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that the story of Hi-Fi Rush is something I can champion, although I love that game. It's just not a great narrative. Like it's a Saturday morning cartoon story. It just happens to be insanely charming and fun.
Yeah.
But this isn't the category for it, and I love that game. It's one of my favorites of the year.
It's kind of what I was. We are aligned in our thoughts on that.
Yeah. So that's helping us a little bit, moving it forward. Let's see here. I think it's safe to leave Zelda toward this direction too. I don't think it's going to make top 10, but we'll leave it there for now.
I think we can move. I mean, as emotional as I got at some points of the story, and by not as emotional, meaning I got super cry, tear heavy or whatever. But there are moments that really like touched my soul. Okay, but Planet of Lana, I don't think it's going to be in the 10.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You think so?
It's really good. It tells a great little story.
I think so too.
And it's funny, the other category tonight that we're going to talk about is music, and music plays a big part in that story working so well.
You know what? That's true. Damn, they do go hand in hand. You're right.
So maybe that one might not make a top 10, but I don't want to move it out.
Okay, let's leave it for now then.
I think I'm the only one out of the four of us that finished Mirage, right?
Yeah, I did.
Finish.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and move that one out because I'm the only one who would fight for it, and I'm not gonna. By the way, it's not bad. It's just not great. I couldn't even I'm going to forget it by this time next year for sure. I won't really remember what happened in that one.
I don't want to break any hearts here either. But I'm going to ask because Dan beat it and I did too. I don't feel that strong about Sea of Stars as a story. I mean, I think it's good, but I don't like.
I think
that's not my favorite part of it.
I think the thing for me that I feel strongly about is the bonds aspect of the game. Just the strong friendship bonds of the brother and sister, and then their friend there.
Garl.
And then there are other friends that come in and every now and then.
And then just kind of as because it's not a huge cast of characters that you have, so it feels easier to kind of like wrap it. You basically don't get too lost in the weeds with all the different party members. It's a limited amount of characters, so like you feel like the connection of them, and it feels like they do a pretty strong job with them, I think. I don't know.
Okay, we can hold on, like similar to Planet of Lana, we can wait until whatever.
Well,
but
to help us move it forward, we can start to put some things over here on the right-hand side just to clear out this section.
Oh, yeah, like some obvious ones.
Some things that I think obviously. So, Kyle, what's one that jumps out at you that like, or maybe one or two, you're like, we're definitely going to have this somewhere in the 10.
Jedi Survivor, I think, is a no-duh.
I think it's a no-brainer for sure. Oh, oops. Didn't mean to
It's one of the best Star Wars stories like ever. Like, it's just so good.
Very good, yeah.
Oh, man.
A little bit. Let's try that. Okay. What else?
I might have to scroll up too. I'm pretty sure Alan Wake's gonna make it over for sure.
Yeah, I would just move Alan Wake over. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, those are fair. Final Fantasy 16. We all
I
love.
think we all agree that that's great.
We all love that game.
Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Spider-Man
2. By the way, this is in no order. We're not
right.
ordering these yet, so no one get upset. Okay. I didn't play enough of Octopath Traveler 2. I just played one, like the Partitio, his opening chapter.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So I don't have anything negative to say about it at all, but I just don't have anything to say positive.
That one's almost like a little bit opposite of Sea of Stars, where I mean it does have the bigger cast.
Yeah.
But like, man, I don't know. There's some like really dark stories in that are just really interesting, and like and why I loved this one so much more than the second one, clearly, because the second one I did eventually get bored with it. Or the first one, I'm sorry, I eventually got bored with it. The second one I did not, like, at all. And it's
the writing kept me going.
Very good,
for sure.
The first chapter that you play of most of each of the characters are like, oh, okay, I gotta keep going, because like you're dangling that carrot, and I need to know what's happening next, because this is
the only one that made me go, I don't know about this, is just the dancer that just wants to dance. That's it. Just wants to dance to let her heart out.
All I know is
literally everybody else has this crazy fleshed out, like really cool backstory. It's so good.
I know I finished the first game this year. That was one of my favorite backlog games to play this year. I think I just didn't beat the boss on one or two of the characters, but so I, generally speaking, finished the first game. And everything I've heard is that the second game, it's just better. The writing's better. The characters are better. The stories for each are better. And I'm like, that's impressive, because the first game I thought had some great characters and great stories. So I don't have any strong opinions about it, but I'm also not mad if it's one of the ones that kind of sits underneath here as probably in the top 10 somewhere, but maybe not. I don't know.
I think it should be, but
I have very strong feelings about Octopath Traveler 2.
You do? Okay. All right. Good to know.
Like good ones? I didn't know if that was.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Very good. I've been talking really good things about it.
Baldur's Gate 3 needs to be over here.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly about Diablo 4. I think Jeff's the only one who actually beat it, though. So
yeah,
okay.
I did.
Yes, in the top 10.
Not my personal top 10, but
let's move it here for now.
Okay.
It might get bumped. We'll see. Let's see what happens. How strongly do we feel about this one, Kyle? Because I think a couple of us played the opening of it, but you're probably the only one.
Yeah, I feel extremely strongly about that one. I cried not little tears, big ones at the end of this.
I'm going to move that one over based on that comment right there.
Tears move.
I'm going to do the same with Planet of Lana because I love it. Trying to think. It is just barely inside my top 10 if I'm looking at my list correctly here. It's either at 10 or 11. I don't have numbers beside my list. But I'm going to put it right at the bottom just in case, just to see if it squeezes in. It might not. The reason I was going to highlight these two, Jeff, Talos Principle 2 and Slay the Princess, is because I think you're the only one who's played those two.
Yeah.
So would those go in
as well? I think he's the only
an Oxenfree. Yeah. So are these games, Planet of Lana? Maybe this was too early to move it over. Do you have a strong opinion about those four? I guess Slay the Princess, Planet of Lana, Oxenfree.
If I had
Talos.
beaten Slay the Princess, probably, but because I didn't, Talos Principle 2 is the one that's like unbelievable. Like it's
really
for a puzzle game, it should not be that good as a narrative.
That's your favorite out of those four? Talos Principle 2?
Yeah. I mean, for now, like if I circle back like in a month and I'm like, guys, I beat Slay the Princess and we messed up. Whatever, it is what it is. But
for now, I'll put it here as probably not going to move over.
Yeah. But Talos Principle 2, I love the world building in that, and the I don't know, just the whole story of like this whole Android, whatever you want to call it, AI community, like this whole city that they built for themselves. And there's a whole reason that you're traveling to all these islands with puzzles on them. Like they're trying to find the source of a signal, and maybe it'll lead to some like their creator or something. There's a religious reason for it, basically.
Okay.
In their own invented religion that they've come up with for the game.
It's crazy bumping both of them up here for a second because I think this is going to end up being kind of our, just under 15. We'll trim down the last few at the bottom there. Probably. Yeah.
But I will say about Oxenfree 2, for people that like the first game, just play the second one because it's just an improved, like Octopath 2, it's like an improved version of the first game. Like it's just everything's about it better than the first game. And then the way that it circles back and does connect to the first game is just so freaking clever.
But probably not moving it over.
No,
compared to some of the other ones?
Okay. Not with everything else that's over there.
Kyle, how do you feel about Starfield? I feel like, especially with the new game plus, it's in my favorite games for story. But
yeah, it's in my top 3, so I feel pretty strong about that one.
I feel good about that one. Let's put it at the bottom for now. Hopefully, it can survive.
Everybody mad.
Okay, so I love Hogwarts Legacy. Its main narrative is not one of the reasons that I love it, but it's not bad. It's got great side stories, but it's probably got I would say it's got stronger side quest lines than it does main quest, honestly, in a couple different examples. But the characters are great. The world building is amazing. And that's all that all builds towards the story. I've made that argument before, so I don't want to be consistent. So I do think that Hogwarts Legacy overall has a very strong story. I have it personally above some of these. Like I have it above Tears of the Kingdom, and I really enjoyed the narrative of Tears of the Kingdom, but I liked the Hogwarts Legacy story building better, the way that they approached it overall.
Interesting.
So I like it, but it's not one that I'm wanting to.
Yeah, this game is still in my personal like top 5 of the year, but the story is not in my 10. Like I like the story, but when I compare it to other Potter things, I'm a fan of. So
it's safe to leave this one out, because if you and I are saying it's not. Kyle, did you finish Hogwarts Legacy or played enough to feel like any strong?
I played like 3/4 of the game. I played most of it. I think I was in the last few hours of the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But same with the story, where it's like that's.
Yeah, I think I was more enamored with just being in the world than than the story. Even though the story there was enough there to like kind of keep me strung along. I just you know.
Okay. So we're left with these other two. Let's see. We've got 4, 8. We've only got 11, so we only need to kick out one for right now, unless we decide between Bramble the Mountain King and Sea of Stars. Do they need to kind of come over here and fight it out with some of these?
Bramble's like. Sea of Stars isn't in my, because I did rank my 10 best stories, and Sea of Stars isn't in there for me. Sorry. I really like the game, though. Trust me, I'll defend it way more in other categories.
So is that safe? Dan, what are your thoughts on that? Is that okay to leave out a best story?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Do you want to fight for it?
I don't think you have one that you like are championing over here.
Yeah, we can fight for it.
So if there's one, if you feel really strongly about
other than
something,
Final Fantasy 16, but I was going to say all of us talk about.
Yeah, but I'm talking like one that you're like just him.
Yeah.
You know, like no one gives a shit about Like a Dragon. You know, so it's like no one else played Talos Principle.
Give a shit
you know, like
I
feel like everyone should get one that they're really like cheering on by themselves.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Well,
Dan, do you have a ranking of favorite stories in gaming, Dan? And is this one on it? If you do have that.
Like I shoot from the hip with these things. Like Jeff is like opposite of me. Like Jeff makes the lists. Like we're very opposite. I go from the heart. I'm like just like I feel like this is where this lands. I do feel very strongly about Sea of Stars, but then if we're moving that over, then what are we at, like 12 or something? So then we're having
we're
to
at 12,
out.
And that's okay because I don't know that Planet of Lana needs to be above it, for example. I'm floating out one example. I'm not sure that because Sea of Stars, I only played essentially the demo length of that game. Like I do want to go back to it. I enjoyed it a lot. The characters are great, and I couldn't tell you definitively Planet of Lana has a better video game story than Sea of Stars does. I couldn't tell you that. Sure. I just finished it because it's a short game. That's all. That's the only thing there. Same thing with Bramble the Mountain King. I think it's a fantastic like Aesop's Fable type of a thing. Like it's this kind of old school allegory fable story, kind of like Two Brothers, very similar to that. But I don't know that I think it belongs in the top 10 of story of the year, although I did like it a lot. I have that and Planet of Lana right in the same spot. I liked them a lot. They're both pretty moving and in different ways, but I don't need it to be in the top 10, Jeff, unless you feel differently about Bramble. We can just... It's
barely in my 10, so I'm not going to be fighting for that one as much as others, but I
really
like that story, man. It's a hell of a
good.
Yeah, it's a good peek into like is that North Europe? I don't know what Nordic countries or whatever. It's a good peek into like what their culture is like into the scary ass Scandinavian stuff. It's like the scary ass stuff that they tell their kids. Like because this is kind of plays like a I don't know, like something that you would read a kid as a bedtime story in one of those countries.
It's
but
it's that story that Dwight is telling the kids about was it the lady cutting off the fingers or something? Oh yeah, like kind of like that. Yeah, the thumbs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is very much like that. The dark kind of children's fairy tales. But they're not for children at all. That game is not necessarily a kid's game. Okay, So Bramble the Mountain King not making the cut. Hogwarts Legacy, Oxenfree 2, Slay the Princess, a whole bunch of other really strong stories in video games, but not making the cut. We need to move 2 more off of this list in order to have 10 to rank. So we've got Jedi Survivor, Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Octopath Traveler 2, Diablo 4, Like a Dragon Gaiden, Talos Principle 2, Planet of Lana, Starfield, and Sea of Stars. Moved over here in no particular order at the moment. Let me just to make sure that everyone is aware that that's in no particular order. We're going to do this. We're going to alphabetize them. There we go.
There you go.
But we do need to get 2 of them off of this list, and just going based on the number of folks who played them combined with the passion for them, I feel like a Dragon is definitely on this list. I feel like Octopath Traveler 2 is definitely on this list.
We need to sacrifice something. I would be willing to just get Diablo 4 out of here, even though I think it's like top 5 of the year in terms of story. But if no one else cares, then I got other things I want to champion.
Dan, did you play some Diablo 4? I thought you did.
I did. Me and my wife and I were playing. I didn't end up finishing it. I don't know. This one just didn't resonate with me. It is super beautiful. I think the cutscenes are like gorgeous, and like I was like enthralled while I'm watching them. But I don't know. The story to me just felt very much like, oh, like something really awful happened in this place. We're catching up to sexy queen demon lady. Like, oh, we were too late. Yeah. Everyone's dead. Yeah, mommy demon lady. Oh, everyone's dead. Got to go to the next town. Like, that's what it felt like. But I didn't.
Yeah,
finish
it didn't sound like you got too far in it either, because there's like huge
yeah.
reveals in Act 3 and huge reveals in Act 5. And
okay.
There's
yeah,
like
exactly.
it's a 60 to 80 plus hour story, so
right.
it's not immediately going to have a lot of payoffs.
Exactly.
Okay. Jeff, you finished Diablo 4. Do you think it deserves a spot based on the amount that we've played it as a team here? Does it need to be on best story top 10? If it does, let's leave it, because I don't have a strong opinion. I'm kind of neutral on this one.
It's not in my top 10, but like I mean, it's still good. I'm
Kyle
not
says
I'm not saying
5.
It's a bad story or anything.
Dan and I are kind of like, we don't know enough about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely I don't know
enough
enough about it.
For sure.
Okay,
But
so
like,
let's
and I
wait.
enjoyed those cutscenes are fucking unreal, dude.
Yeah, they're
still the best in the business at that. That's
and
what Blizzard
to me,
is
that's part of storytelling, right? Is how like
you're telling the story through the
presentation.
cutscenes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So compare it to something like Talos Principle 2, Jeff, or even Planet of Lana, as we look at these 2 kind of smaller scale stories. Does it stack up to those? I mean, for you, do you have both of those on your top 10 compared to?
No,
Jeff?
I don't have Planet of Lana on my top 10.
Maybe Planet of Lana needs to duck out at this point.
I'm not opposed to it, but I really like that game. Just want to let everybody know the story's really good.
I do too. The music's really good too. You guys will hear at least a clip of the music at some point in this episode. It's great music.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you get both? Because I think there's like 2 distinct themes that keep coming up in that game. Did you?
There's also one where a lady starts singing, and it's
Yeah.
just such a good moment where she starts singing the song. It's like a really moving moment. With a family member. It's really good.
The game is like
it's great.
It's not too good. That's not a thing.
The
but
gameplay
you know what I mean. It's good.
Is not going to win any of my favorites, but
right.
Yeah. Ironically. Yeah. Okay. So Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4. I do think Diablo 4 needs to be on this list. I think there's enough said about it, and enough of us have played it and enjoyed the story. It needs to be somewhere, even if it's at 10, it needs to be somewhere on this list. Final Fantasy 16, Like a Dragon, Spider-Man 2, Octopath Traveler 2. I think those are all certainly locks. I think Sea of Stars maybe even, because I know, Jeff, it's not on your personal top 10. But Dan really loves it.
I mean, we're still talking about good stories. So I mean, it's
good story.
It's a really good story.
So that one,
it's just,
and
I liked all the setup in that game. I thought, there was a lot of things that were immediately interesting.
There's a reveal. It's similar to Diablo 4. Well, Diablo 4, I think paced out the reveals a little better story wise, but like Sea of Stars has like this moment near the final act where they kind of like reveal everything, and you're like, what is happening here? Like when you actually get to go to the actual Sea of Stars. The titular Sea of Stars is such a cool moment, dude. And there's so much revealed by that point.
So I feel very strongly, and I know that people think I'm an Xbot for saying this, I think Starfield is a fantastic story, both in the side missions and the mainline narrative. I think is great, and it leads into New Game Plus in a way that by itself makes the story really good. The way they do that, I think that kind of.
I keep hearing that, and I'm like really intrigued. I just haven't gotten to.
Yeah, but I hope that stays intact for you too, because it's a great review.
And I don't want to oversell. I don't want to like oversell it like it's the best thing ever. It's just like boy, was that clever and a really cool way to work story into New Game Plus. I think that by itself is a
well, yeah, and just like you said, like there's a lot of side stuff that are like super memorable. They really take their time to do that Bethesda, Skyrim, Fallout style. Like, hey, we're gonna hit you with really good short stories throughout your big story adventure.
Yeah,
you know?
And the side characters' quest lines, you go on them, and really, really good. So that one to me personally, certainly a lot. It sounds like Kyle and I are on the same page with that one being.
Yeah, again, like that's one I would champion over like Diablo 4. You know, so it's like that's one that I feel real strong about.
So if we had to talk about ones that maybe aren't locks, but they're very strong, it's probably, there we go. It's probably these three. One of these three probably needs to go. And tell me if I'm crazy. I've got these 8 that I think are locks on our shared list. Starfield, Jedi Survivor, Octopath, all these up here. I won't keep naming them.
Well, I don't like the idea of keeping a game on here that like only one person has played. Enough of us have played Like a Dragon Gaiden to know the setup, to appreciate that it's it's just basically like a crime movie but a video game. It's cool. It's a cool story. So like enough of us have played it. But I'm literally the only one that's played Talos Principle 2. So I mean, it doesn't make sense to keep it on the list. That's one that's in my top 5 though. That's like
which is a shame because that first one, like people, I mean, I think that was like the highest rated game, right? Like
talk about like when you're championing it and saying all this stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, it's everybody who's played it is saying this, So it's like you're saying something that's obviously very. And
I didn't know that. I didn't
true
know
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a darling for a lot of people. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Honestly, like I'm almost leaning towards it being between one of these two. Like to me, Talos probably belongs on there. Just because it's in the same way that Kyle would talk about Like a Dragon. But then again, Dan talks about Sea of Stars. So maybe it's Diablo that by default gets bumped out of these three. Because Talos is up there for you. Sea of Stars. Dan, am I reading you correctly? It's up there pretty high for you on one that you love?
It is. Okay. Yeah. And it's tough because it's like, I almost feel like I'm being the greedy one because it's like there's also Octopath Traveler 2, which, people are going to look at that and...
But Kyle and Jeff both love that game.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just looking at it.
Game. It's so good.
Not that it actually matters at the end of the day because it's our list, but it's just like
old school JRPGs on this list.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Who gives a crap about those optics? I don't care. Let's put 5 of them on here.
I think Diablo 4 needs to move over. I think Diablo 4 moves over. I don't know. Am I? Is that crazy? Is that mean?
Y'all. Someone else would have to step in and say, like, I am gonna fight harder for other things. I would, like Diablo 4 is like one that I would choose, but I have like stronger feelings about things that are above that.
If you ask me right now, based on I played about an equal amount of Diablo 4 and Sea of Stars, about 2 hours ish of both of them. I think the storytelling of Diablo 4 was a little stronger, but it's more serious too. So it's probably not fair. And the presentation is so good.
Yeah, and Sea of Stars
is pretty serious.
It does get there. Like like 30. That's a 30. It took me like 33 hours, something like that game. And yeah, it does take a minute for it to get serious and like have those big reveals. But,
I think Diablo 4 is moving over because we got a couple of sweethearts here that we're gonna keep. How about that?
Sweethearts.
I mean, I feel all right. Feel a little crappy about Talos Principle being on here. I don't know why. I know it's like what y'all are saying.
Alphabetical.
I believe what y'all are saying about
I believe it.
The gamers in general agreeing with me, but I'd still feel weird about it being on here.
It's all right.
To be honest, Diablo 4 is a Activision Blizzard game, and we hate them because they're terrible. So.
Oh, that's right. They are terrible.
No, actually, they're owned by Microsoft now, and since we're all Xbots here,
we're Xbots.
We love them now.
That's how we do things.
Oh, so then
they're gonna pull our funding, buddy. Can you chill out?
They're gonna pull our funding. Yeah. No,
Number 1, Starfield. Number 2, Diablo 4.
Yeah, number 1, Starfield. Let's just put it up there.
Sorry, Phil. Sorry, Phil. My bad.
Can you guys see it again? I think it went away for a second. Is it back?
I can see everything. Yeah.
Yep. Everything's
good. Okay.
A lot of porn on that desktop. No.
True.
So much. Yeah. So much. Okay, guys. So we got our 10 here. We got Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Like a Dragon Gaiden, Spider-Man 2, Octopath Traveler 2, Sea of Stars, Jedi Survivor, Starfield, and Talos Principle 2. And by nature of them barely squeezing in, I feel like Sea of Stars and Talos Principle are probably towards the bottom.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Sure.
I don't know where at the bottom, but they're in that bottom like group of 3 or 4 probably.
I mean, I'm not offended if I'm not offended.
Dan, why don't you pitch me on how you feel about Sea of Stars maybe above Octopath Traveler 2 as the better story?
Oh, jeez, Kyle, you're asking so much. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like since those are very similar, maybe those are 2 ones to maybe compare away.
I feel like if I had to, gun to the head, choose between one of those 2, I would choose that Octopath slightly is above Sea of Stars.
Okay.
I do feel like it's weird because like everyone was at the Game Awards too. Like Sea of Stars is like was being touted as like the indie RPG game that it's like we all love this indie, but I don't know. Like Octopath got no love at all, and I think it is I don't know if it's because it's a sequel to a game that there's kind of a lot of sameness there as far as maybe like the combat and stuff.
And people were really jazzed about the first game, so it had like its time in the spotlight, as a franchise or a brand.
Because people did skip the second one. They were just like, well, it looks like more of the same. It's like, but it's not.
People missed out. Yeah.
Everything about it is more refined because I went back and played the first game after 2. And and it's like even the combat, like in the backgrounds and stuff, like just feel a little more refined. Like not earth-shatteringly different. Yeah. But there are improvements made to every aspect of the game.
It's a sequel sequel. That's what you're saying.
And I think Sea of Stars just really spoke to a lot of people because it felt like this like love letter to these games that we haven't played in so long. Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, things like that. So I think it just really spoke to a lot of people, and it did for me, absolutely. But I don't know. I do think Octopath Traveler 2 is a slightly better game.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Let me turn the corner a little bit and talk about Like a Dragon, especially when you think about stuff like Starfield, Kyle, and Octopath. I know you love both of those stories, and even Jedi Survivor. Where is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, for you? And as Jeff said, a couple of us played the opening, and it's like, this is super cool. This is like it feels like I'm watching a movie or the opening of a series. This is really awesome. But we didn't really get into the meat of the story itself.
I would say that, like, of all of these that we're looking at, like a Dragon is at the bottom of the stories that I enjoyed this year. Of these, like, 5 or 6 years.
So you would, as far as gaming stories, you'd put Survivor and Starfield over Like a Dragon Gaiden?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would,
And what about for Octopath Traveler 2? I know you love that game as well. And Jeff, you love Octopath Traveler 2 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So where does that fit? And it's a very interesting way that it weaves a bunch of different stories sort of together.
I think that's commendable. I will also say that I cried at one of these. So like that's what I give the nod to. But like that's such a personal thing to say that it's barely, I don't know if that moves the needle at all in terms of where it deserves to be. So because it's such a personal, example.
I'm just wondering if because there's 3 of you that love Octopath Traveler 2, does that squeeze above Like a Dragon Gaiden on the overall story rankings, just for the sake of numbers, and because you also love it too, Kyle? I don't know if it's pretty. Are these 2 pretty close for you in terms of like?
No, not even kind of. But no, but if I would totally be okay with it being above if everyone feels strongly about Octopath Traveler 2, because I love that game, so I'm not gonna. It's not a loss by any means.
I don't feel strongly about it, so I'm okay either way.
I didn't play Like a Dragon, so I have nothing to add there, unfortunately.
Okay, but you did play, Dan, some Starfield. Do you have what you've played of Starfield so far compared to Octopath Traveler 2? I know they tell very different styles of stories. Obviously, they're very, very different games. But as far as when you think of like the narrative of either of those universes that are being built, do you feel like there's a big separation for you between those 2?
Not big, but enough of a gap in between there. I mean, I do enjoy Bethesda games. I mean, Fallout 3 is one of my favorite video games of all time.
Where's the remaster, Bethesda?
Yeah, where's my 19 remaster? I personally would put Octopath ahead of Starfield.
Okay.
If I was ranking them, so.
Jeff, do you have a feeling about? You didn't play enough Starfield though, did you? To really?
I played like 4 hours. It's not really anything of the story. Like it's mostly just experiencing the world building at that point and exploring as much as I could in the maps that it dumped me into in the introductory period of the game.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is part of the story. I mean, the world building is part of the story, so that stuff was all really cool.
I'm also trying to gauge where Kyle was saying that, hey, Like a Dragon's way above Octopath for me, but I do like them both. And he even put Starfield, at least initially, above Like a Dragon. So that tells you how strongly Kyle feels about Starfield. I feel pretty strongly about Starfield being really good. Just as a little thought on how I feel about that particular story, I've got it above Hogwarts Legacy, Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, I've got it above those. That's just, keep in mind, I only played 20 hours of Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not even in Act 2. I'm only in Act 1. I'm very uneducated in the overall narrative of that game. Happy to admit that. You'll hear that. That'll be a running theme for me with Baldur's Gate 3, is I'm not fully educated on that game. But I do have Starfield up pretty high. So I like the idea of Starfield being somewhere here in the middle. I didn't expect it to be at the top, but I was hoping for it to be somewhere here in the middle. All right, so how do we feel about this bottom five? If you look at right now, the top five we haven't even talked about yet. It's Jedi Survivor, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, and Alan Wake 2. Do we kind of expect those to be in some order or other our top five, with these being the bottom five? Is that a fair expectation, or am I misspeaking, do you think?
It seems fair to me, yeah. Unless someone's going to surprise me and say that they hated Marvel's, Spider-Man 2 story or something.
Yeah,
I hate.
I actually didn't like it that much. I'm like, oh, okay.
These are like the 5 juggernauts that I expected to be in. The top.
I feel like these are the
okay.
5. In terms of like, especially like gameplay time and stuff like that too. It sounds like only you and me are championing Starfield.
I think Starfield's going to stay at 6. I think that's where it's going to stay.
That seems right. Yeah.
The only one on the top that I personally put it above, and it's only barely, is Baldur's Gate 3, and that should say something because I only played through Act 1 of Baldur's Gate 3, and I already have Baldur's Gate 3 as like my 6th favorite overall story. That says something to me about how good that game is. So anyway, all that to say, I think that's our bottom 5 of this top 10 is Starfield, Like a Dragon, Octopath, Sea of Stars, and Talos Principle. That's just what my gut's telling me here. All right, let's start talking about the top 5. Let's keep it rolling. Between these 5 games, and it might end up coming down to just, all right, guys, send me your rankings, and then I'll tally them up, and then we'll see what the actual math spits out back at us. But I'm also trying to make sure each of you get a chance to share your thoughts on each of these and where you would rank them. So far, based on these 10 and especially these top 5, are we close to at least having some of your personal favorites in this top group, or are we missing something, or is the order really wonky compared to what you have personally? Like when you look at these 5, you're like, yeah, these are deserving, or are you like, what is happening?
3 of these are in my top 5, so I'm good. I'm content so far.
Okay.
This list makes sense. Makes sense to me.
I've got 4 of my top 5 in here, so I can't complain even a little bit.
No complaints.
Okay, what about you, Kyle? How are you feeling about
these very strong contenders, these 5, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to jump out there first. I'm going to be bold, all right? I'm going to say it. My favorite video game story of this year was Jedi Survivor. I thought it was the best start to finish. I loved the story arc. I loved the characters. It does have the advantage of being a sequel, but you could say on the other hand, that's a disadvantage because expectations are high and fans could get really riled up with what you decide to do with characters. And I loved what they did with this game. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it had a great twist. I don't want to give anything away. We're not going to spoil any of these games if we can help it, but it's got a fantastic twist that leads to a very, I thought, personal and emotional showdown compared to the last game, which was a little more of a set piece showdown at the end. This is a little bit more personal and kind of almost feels like a private battle at the end. It's just really interesting the way that they handled this one. And so I love it, and I cannot wait for the third. But that's my personal favorite out of all these. I just wanted to throw something out about Jedi Survivor. We haven't talked about that story yet, but man, do I love the story of that game. It's so good. That's not a takeaway from any of these other ones. I love the stories in these games too. Dan, tell me about Final Fantasy 16. Is that I'm assuming that's your favorite story. Am I crazy?
It almost makes me always feel like cliche, like, yeah, I'm going with Final Fantasy, but I mean,
it's in this case, story though. It's a great story.
It really is if you're just saying correct things. Yeah.
And I think what like kind of adds to it too, for me, and it like comes across as negative, but like it's just how I feel. Like it's such an upswing for me from 15. Like, 15 to me is one of the weakest Final Fantasies. I've expressed that before. I know I'm a monster.
That is correct.
No, but like, wrong. But continue.
But this story is just so it's just so emotional, and the
story
really...
was so dumb in 15. I will say that like there are a lot of things I like about 15, and the story is not one of them.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, to make it so focused seemed like a direct like response to the negativity of 15 story, in my opinion. Yeah.
And talk about personal, right? That opening of 16, Dan, is one of the most personal Final Fantasy stories they've ever told, with family and relationships.
It's about family.
And the emotional ride that they take you on with that story. And
like, they're not holding back in this one. It's rated mature. It's the first rated mature Final Fantasy, so they're not holding back, which, you know, could be...
They say the F word.
Yeah, they say the F word.
I saw lots of buttocks. Yeah.
Yeah. People bang while giving exposition in this.
That's true.
We saw it.
But like, it does leave room for a very realistic, you know, way of telling the story. Like, yes, people, you know, are going to die. Characters die. This island, or these two islands in the game, things are very bleak on these islands. Like, you know, there's a lot of dark themes going on there, and I do appreciate that, because it may seem like silly to be like, oh well, the rating, but it's like, no, it allows you to not hold back, because when something's rated T, it's like you don't maybe necessarily pull the trigger all the way, and like a character, it seems like maybe they're dead, but it's like, no, they're fine, actually, they're okay. Here it's
like, on another transport ship.
Yes.
Sorry, that's the Rise of Skywalker reference.
I know what you're talking about. All right.
But yeah, you don't have to pull punches. You can tell exactly the story that you want to tell. If you want to kill a character and like show it in a brutal way that's very realistic, and it's going to hit you hard emotionally, and make you feel things, like, that's what they're going to do, and that's what they did in 16. And
it's got one of my favorite endings in the whole series too. I think it's got... What a landing of an ending.
Oh, you love that? The full circle-ness of the ending?
I just love everything about the ending.
Yeah.
And just the bond between the two,
very much like
brothers.
A Final Fantasy. That's what's perfect about it.
Well,
it's so final, but just by not being final.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It actually is like, its name. Yeah, that's very true.
It's kind of wild.
I mean, the main character actually says it towards the end, which is hilarious.
What
do you think?
It's
this
not
is some
stupid
kind of
either.
Final Fantasy?
That's the other thing. It's not dumb either. Like, it actually I'm like,
works.
All right.
It's much better than I Am Aquaman at the end.
I am spoilers, I guess. Yeah.
And the press
sorry,
is like,
I'm sorry, for a movie you shouldn't see. Everybody.
I'm not sorry about that.
You've openly been Aquaman in every single movie you've been in, and also you're not a billionaire, so who cares if you're Aquaman? Anyway, sorry. He's like a random mariner, and everybody's like, "This guy's Aquaman? Wow! Oh my god!"
I know we're not talking about like character performances here, Dan, but I feel like the story of 16 is so elevated by the character performances. Everyone from Sid to Jill to Clive, of course. Yeah. I feel like all the actors elevate the story with their performances. And
that's the thing too. This is the best voice acted / acted Final Fantasy. Like that's always since they've started doing voice acting for this series. Like
in 10, right? Was the first one?
Yes.
You mean a dubbed version of it, like a dubbed?
Yeah, like actual, like with English voice acting, or Japanese, you know, wherever it's coming from, whatever language. This is the highest quality it's ever been, because aside from remake, which I think remakes was overall really solid. There's definitely some NPCs that are like, you know, I don't know about that. But overall really solid. Like I don't even NPCs in this game. Like there wasn't at least as far as I can remember, even an NPC where I was like, that sounds weird. Like no, everyone was phenomenal. Like. And even just again and meeting NPCs, certain stories that you come across, and this is, we're talking about story, never mind the way that the side quests are given to you and whether they're boring or not, like that's obviously a whole separate conversation. But if we're speaking specifically to story, like the later side quests, if you actually get to them and you complete them, like even those are like, oh my god, my heart, like what the hell, dude, like what is going on?
Yeah, they're brutal.
Yeah,
good grief.
There's just there's payoffs to things that, you know, are attached to the main story, with things that end up happening.
Which is nice because early on those side quests are not good, but some of the quest lines become very interesting story wise, which is great.
Yeah, it's very much
and the menial tasks that you're doing, what it's really about is meeting the characters who are giving you said tasks.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. They're introductory for those people.
All right, so that's a strong case for that one towards the top as well. Let's just for the sake of time too. And this I'm not saying it because I think it's your favorite, Jeff, but I am interested in what's your take on why Spider-Man 2 should be up towards the top if you had to argue for that one. I assume it's up there, maybe not number one, but it's up there for you. I would assume.
Yeah, it's not number one, but I do love that game.
Story-wise, though, does it belong 1, 2, 3 spot, or are you kind of?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely. Okay. It's still pretty high. I'm not gonna undersell that. It's definitely one of my favorite stories of the year. We've talked about 2 others already that are above it for me. So that's where things stand for me. Okay. But I do. As far as I don't know, Insomniac just knows how to play with their toys. They just know exactly how to marvel the crap out of their stories.
It's not
better
safe,
than Disney can.
It's
crazy how good it is. Especially loved the I don't know, it just felt very real, even though they were fighting each other in superhero suits and stuff. The MJ and Peter dynamic in this game in particular, felt like they're not even married yet, but like a married couple going through a real tough time, and they're really trying to compromise with each other every second of every day. And of course it comes to a head in that really cool spoilers. It's kind of like a fight scene, but you'll get to it.
Yeah.
That's a great scene, and then
some very personal stuff they dig into it.
Yeah.
Really personal.
And the Venom
stuff.
is just bringing that's the characteristic of it that we've all known is it brings the worst elements of yourself out of you.
The idea of it being a poison is played out in the character, right?
Right, exactly. And they told that perfectly because they just know these characters so well. And they knew to keep that crap away from Miles because he's too wholesome at this age for that. And I respect their restraint in that regard because he needed to go through it in a more, and he did go through it in a more authentic, unpolluted way. With Martin Lee, and how he genuinely felt like that urge for revenge on his own without the help of Venom. He already had that urge, and for him to go back through that organically,
great arc,
such an awesome arc, dude.
Yeah.
Well, also, how old is he in this game?
He's 19, right? He's about to go to college, or
I think he's 17 because I think he's finishing up high school and trying to apply to college.
It's just that he goes to a school that's like a fancy schmancy school, right?
But to write a story for, if you do think about it, just from the realistic perspective of him being a kid and what he's going through and the feelings that he has to feel, but he's also a superhero. So it's realistically, you're going to be pissed off about this thing because of, what Martin Lee, did in the past. But him fighting with that, it's there's some moments there that are pretty,
This game has I think it's got a lot of classic storytelling tools that it uses in terms of hey, let's show how temptation affects a person and ruins relationships, and when you give into it, it causes destruction. Hey, let's show how redemption can be achieved and how that can restore relationships, but sometimes you've gone too far and it's too late. It shows all these different arcs, whether it's Martin Lee and Miles or Peter and Harry and MJ, and I feel like it just does such a good job of telling these kind of timeless allegory stories as well. Kind of, and I thought it did a really good job. It had no business being this well put together story as it was. Right. It's right in the same spot for me too, Jeff. It's at my number 3 overall favorite story of the year. It really stuck with me. We did a spoiler cast about this one too because it's just super, super good. So go back and listen to that.
Yeah, go back and listen to the spoiler cast and how we dive into how Kraven and Venom were just so both well utilized in this, and
great villains. Yeah,
unbelievable stuff with Kraven. In my opinion, I know some people might be like, well, then he ends up being second fiddle, blah blah blah, to Venom, and I'm like, it's a Venom game. It's not really. At its core, it's always been a Venom game. So
also, listen, there's obviously something unique there that you do with Kraven, and in the comics they do that. A lot of people really do love that character. But Venom is Venom, so
Venom is Venom.
Come
and
on,
you know what? That is the perfect apex predator for Kraven to have the first to hunt, I guess.
That combination there of those two being in the story is great for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we talked about world building and storytelling. This game does a great job of that, not only with side characters that give you missions. There's some interesting little spin-off stories, but there's some great Easter eggs if you're a fan of the comics. There's a really cool side story with the character from the previous game, specifically from the DLC, who is now in costume fighting
my gosh,
a certain way, and that leads to kind of a potential teaser for what's to come next with, a new villain. Anyway, there's some really cool storytelling they do that's completely separate from the main narrative.
Then the pigeon guy is back, and
dude. Come on!
Oh man,
my heart.
Good. Yeah,
pain.
Yeah,
life is pain.
That part's great. Well, the one that and I'll talk about Alan Wake 2 in a second because I have a lot of thoughts on that story, and I will not spoil it. Don't worry. But the one that
you did beat it though, right?
I did beat it. Yeah, so I have thoughts on Alan Wake 2. Because I think Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 are probably more unique in that the fewest number of us here have completed those stories to be able to speak super eloquently about them. But Kyle, maybe it's not fair to do this, but Baldur's Gate 3 tells a really interesting story set in the D&D universe. Obviously your main character has a immediate problem that right out of the gate you're trying to solve, and that's the through line, obviously, for, I'm assuming, much of the story. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not much of the story, but I assume much of the story you're trying to solve this issue. But along the way, a lot of other things are developing and happening. Lots of cool character moments and other stories that are developing along the way. In your mind, as you look at this, are you like, yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 is the best story? Or like, what are your thoughts on that? And how would you summarize why this one would deserve to be higher on the list?
So this wouldn't be my number one. I've got multiple games ahead of this one, but it's still very strong. I feel like you don't even realize the story hasn't started until the third act, until you're at the third act, and you're like, oh my god, the story's starting. I'm 90 hours into this game, and it didn't even dawn on me that the story hasn't started yet.
That's crazy.
80 hours into a game.
That's how good the writing is, though, is like, because you're doing so many, like, sure, you're taking down a goblin camp and you're doing this and you're doing that, and it's all in service to find a cure for something, for a thing that's in your head. But like, you're not getting a lot of resolution in that story. You're resolving all these other little mini stories, not unlike Starfield, where it's like, oh, I've run into this thing that's specific to this area, and I'm gonna see this. I'm gonna see this entire thing through, and then get a major payoff for this specific tiny story, and then it'll move on to kind of something else. And you have personal stories and character stories and romance stories, and it's all different. And the fact that the game can keep up with you and your chaoticness of being a human and being so free in a game that's so open and so choice driven, and not just the ways that you're talking to people, but in the way that you're interacting with people and interacting with the world. That's all part of the story to me. The way that the story can come together, even though there's like a million variables that can derail it.
I was actually going to contribute to that and say, like, a part of what makes a story so great is how it's about it, and that's the case for Baldur's Gate 3 especially, because all of us are we can get a totally different experience, all four of us, if we wanted to, out of that story, and that's the writing. That's all story, It
starts at the beginning when you decide to either kill that brain thing or leave it, or like you start right at the beginning. Like, what's my story?
It starts immediately, and some of those things don't have like repercussions until 40 hours later in the game, and you're like, oh my god, I did that thing. Like, I broke a pact with this character, and she's coming to collect now 40 hours later, Like,
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's really
or that imprisoned goblin early in the game that you can decide to. There's a bunch of decisions you have to make with that. Like, there's a lot of things.
The devil keeps showing up, and it's like, hey, you wanna, and you're like, you have to be like, well, I don't know, man. Yeah, things are looking kind of bad, but I think I might want to still express some other options.
And it's Dave Grohl, by the way, as the devil, like from Tenacious D music video.
It is, yeah. So it's a really fantastic game. I may have other above it because for me, a focus story always outwins, a grand story, if you will. I don't even know if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
But so something like Final Fantasy 16, which is telling a story, like that beats Baldur's Gate 3 for me. Something like, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, there is a story, there that you're following that story,
It's the difference between a novel that you're just reading through in order or a really like perfectly written choose your own adventure. It's still like
very
parsed
good
out in a way
comparison.
that's a little different, even if it's like the most brilliantly written one ever made.
Right.
It's still
you can
a
just
little
tell
different.
when you finish a story that's focused, you go, wow, a lot of real energy was put into this telling this story, this this legend, this tale, or whatever, so
I agree.
That's the only reason things would be above it. I think that the magical nature of Baldur's Gate working in any sort of way with all the different variables deserves some sort of accolades that maybe outweighs some things. But just on my personal list, that's kind of how it falls.
And by the way, everyone listening, we're just kind of, like Dan said, we're shooting from the hip here a little bit when it comes to making an argument for them one way or the other. There are times, and it's already happened here tonight, there are times as we talk through things, I'm like, I don't think I actually have that one at 6. I think I have it at 5. Like I shift things around as we talk about it, or as you guys remind me of things.
I mean,
so
we're human, and we only have so much capacity in our brain to remember a story, especially these games that are 80 hours.
How did I feel when I played Jedi Survivor in April? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think I remember.
Also, the amount of games this year was just absurd. So
disrespectful, honestly.
It really was. Listen, the last one here on our top 5, and then we'll start talking through, based on everything we've said, where do we think these fall, which I kind of like doing it this way when it comes to like a strong group of 5. So for Alan Wake 2, just narratively, it has no business being as good as it is by the end, because I even joked about it on the podcast multiple times, like, this game makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Turns out, and I think, Kyle, you said this, you're like, well, just wait, it'll probably make sense at the end. Yeah, okay, you're right, fine, whatever, shut up. It does make sense. It's got some fantastic reveals and some things that aren't revealed, but I feel very strongly that's what they were hinting, and it's really well done because it's subtle. I don't even suggest who it might be, but there's some character connections that I'm like, I think this is what they're suggesting. That is crazy. I never thought about that. So like that part's really cool. But then the very overtly told story, and they really do lay it out for you in a way that is, it's not making you feel dumb, like, hey, you don't understand this, we're going to give you a ton of dialogue, but they still lay it out for you in a way that is like, okay, I know who my heroes are, who the antagonists are, and what they're trying to accomplish, and what tools we need to accomplish those things, and what are challenges in the way, and what constitutes failure versus success, and then how it all ends up. And then the way it kind of opens it up for what could come next in this whole Remedy universe that they're creating. So I think it's done brilliantly. I think the usage of 2 characters is risky, and I think Spider-Man 2 did it brilliantly, and I think Alan Wake 2 did it brilliantly, where you've got 2 leads that are, in this case, they're so different from each other, and I think Spider-Man 2 has this going for it as well. 2 very different leads with different motivations, different personalities, although they're fighting towards the same end in a way. But yeah, it's just told really well. And there are certainly moments in that game that I was like, holy crap, I did not. Okay, all right, I see what they're doing. And I wouldn't say it's quite as big as like when you first watch The Sixth Sense or something like that, where there's a huge shock twist, but there's still those moments that you're like, dude, they put this together really, really well. And so I can't say too much more about it. This would be a fun one to do some sort of spoiler chat about at some point, if for no other reason to help me understand it even more, because I feel like I get it. I do. I feel like if this thing has, I feel like I understand like somewhere in the 60 to 70% range of it, and which is really good, by the way, because I was at like 20 last time we talked about this game.
Sure.
So I feel like
where I'm at.
I would have been pretty upset if a story about a writer who writes stories was not going to make sense. I would have been pretty upset. I got to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really, really, really good. I think it was deserving of its Game Awards win. I don't know that I don't think that I would fight for it to be in the top spot for us. For me personally, it finished number 2. It
can be with only a couple of us, like,
correct,
playing it, and you're the only one who's beaten it, so it's like.
But for some context, it was like it wasn't in my top 10 list. I had done a maybe like a month ago. Let me just start to rank some of these categories, see how we're looking, and I just did it again this past week after I finished Alan Wake 2, and this one bumped down so many games, and it's number 2, my favorite stories of the year. Just behind.
I know when I beat it, just because I'm already in love. Like, it's already so high for me, even though I'm not near the end at all. That when I beat it, like it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm like, that was number 1, and it's not even close.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Yeah, so it's I have to. I'm grading a little with my heart here because I'm doing a little assuming here, obviously, but I've caught the vibe. I know it's going to stick the landing, and I can safely say that like it deserves to be in the top 5, but it wouldn't make me mad if it ended up kind of on the lower end, just because of the lack of exposure some of us have had to it.
This game takes some leaps. I mean, it uses some real action footage that you would like on paper, you would tell every developer, don't do that. Definitely don't do that.
They just get better at doing it every game because they certainly do this all the time.
Certainly don't include this real life person in this key moment and role. Don't do that for sure. But they take these huge swings, and I think it works, especially if you just kind of like let the game story just kind of like wash over you and see what happens, and then over time you're like, holy crap, they really did something here. So anyway, all that to say, I think it's phenomenal. But as we were all talking, and I'm listening through everyone's thoughts, I'm starting to get the vibe that right now on this list, sorry if you've been just watching, it's been stuck on the screen while we're talking for a long time. Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, I feel like are probably our 4 and 5, based on what everyone's been saying. Am I talking like Kyle, Dan? I saw Jeff nod, so I think like maybe you agree. What do you think, Dan?
I have, because then I'm looking at Star Wars, and I unfortunately haven't played Star Wars yet. I finally have Star Wars, haven't played it yet.
You own it. That counts for something.
I own it.
Yeah.
Which says to us that you think it's #1 story. All right, moving on.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. It's actually the best story in all games. But hold on, you said Alan Wake and Baldur's Gate 4 and 5, you said?
I don't know if that's the order. Maybe Baldur's Gate 3 is 4 and Alan Wake 2 is 5. I don't know. I'm just saying I feel like based on our experience with them and how, because everything that you were saying about Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Like that game is really high up there for me. Same thing with Spider-Man 2. So like I'm in agreement with what you were saying about those two games particularly. And I know that I waxed eloquent about Jedi Survivor a bit, and you haven't played that one, and so you can't really say yay or nay to that.
Too. But I don't know. I feel like so then I'm wondering, is Alan Wake 2? So if we were to say Alan Wake 2 is 4, Baldur's Gate is 5, so that would be Star Wars above.
We'd have to decide between Star Wars, Spider-Man, and Final Fantasy for the top 3.
But so do we feel strongly that Star Wars is better than Alan Wake 2?
I do personally, but that's just my personal take. What do you think, Kyle?
That is my number 2. So yeah, Star Wars is.
Okay.
That's my number 2 as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think
we feel strong about that.
It's my number 1. So yeah, I think it's.
Well, you're wrong, and the rest of us are right. I have it at 2. So
yeah, there's obviously a real number 1, Tim, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take another sip of this here. It's actually gone now.
All right, time to get loose, fellas.
Guys, no more organic. Organic is gone. I'm down to just water now.
Oh man.
Oh, that's how they make it organic.
I think what you said. I think that fits.
So I think we're good with these, although always open to revisiting the order of something down in the bottom 5 here. I do think Baldur's Gate 3 lands at 5. Unless, Kyle, you're the only other one who can really speak to this between Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, I think. Unless Jeff or Dan have played it more than I realized.
Just know that by the time I'm on the other end of Alan Wake 2, I'm going to like it more than Baldur's Gate 3. Even though I think Baldur's Gate 3 is like...
I kind of have the same
some
feeling.
of the best writing ever in a video game.
But so is Alan
really
Wake
do think
2.
that.
Like, when you'll be like...
Yeah, no, and I already know that that's true because, it's very... Again, it's my vibe. It's Lynchian, it's weird, it's abstract. Exactly. You're going to spend 90% of the game not knowing what's going on. That's like my type of thing.
Like, if you liked Fringe and X-Files and all these, like, what are they doing? Like,
those are my type of stories too. So I can safely assume the same about myself when it comes to these two games against each other. Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually upset that I haven't gotten to Alan Wake 2. Like I'm like
being a Resident Evil guy, you would love it.
I'm upset I haven't beat it yet. I'm just
you're gonna enjoy it.
Distracted, yeah.
You're gonna enjoy it.
But I think what Kyle said about Baldur's Gate 3 is like a good point. Not to say like it's a detriment to Baldur's Gate at all, but like it is dependent on how you go through that game, right? I mean, if you could beeline through it and not get the most amazing,
you could lock yourself out of a lot of really cool decisions and stories by being an asshole. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly.
Or by being good. Can't you lock stuff out by being good too?
Sure.
Like,
you absolutely any decision you make locks you out of other decisions that you can make down
which
the road,
is hard. If you're like a completionist, you need to let go of that stuff and just
no, this is your only game for the rest of your life if you're a completionist. Like
But yeah, so
Okay.
I think that's that kind of like not all over the placeness, but like the amount of like paths. Yeah, it's just not focused like how we were saying with 16. Like 16 is a very deliberate focused story that's very, impactful.
So, Dan, curious about your thoughts on Spider-Man 2 as far as narrative goes. Was that your second favorite story of the year? You already talked about 16 being your favorite. Was Spider-Man 2 your second favorite story? Or is there something else on here or elsewhere that maybe isn't even on the top 10 that you liked more than the Spider-Man 2 story?
I think it would be Spider-Man, yeah.
Or 2 or 3 at least. Like it'd be up there for you, right?
Yeah, it would be up there. Yeah, I actually felt very strongly about Octopath Traveler 2. But I get that that's not something that would be in the top 3. And it's fine where it is. It makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like I've said before, I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. Venom is my favorite villain. They're both in there, obviously, and it was told very well. And
there you go.
Yeah. And again, mixing in Craven in there, I think was really smart. I thought that was really fun to do that. And the whole element of it, like everything that pertains to Venom and what Venom is, without getting into specifics, is I don't know what's the word I'm trying to think of, but it's just very intrinsically tied to Spider-Man, like in the story, like to Peter, to Spider-Man and everything, and if you know who it is and what's going on, it's like it's very impactful.
They took known characters and moments from the Marvel checkerboard, whatever, and just shifted the pieces around a little bit.
Yeah,
but like we all know the players, but some of them are playing different roles with characters that we know.
Yeah, it's
really
a what
cool.
if.
I love
it's like their what if. Right?
I don't want to call it safe. What I want to call it comfortable. Like I'm really comfortable with all these elements, but there was nothing safe about the execution. The remixes were really, good shots.
Yeah. So I think this probably is not going to take us voting because I already know you three. If I'm reading you correctly, Final Fantasy 16 is your number 1 story of the year, right? For all 3 of you.
That is correct. For me,
that's mine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For me, it was number 2 for a long time, and it is. This sounds like an insult, but it's not. It is barely at number 4. Like I'm talking. Alan Wake 2 should not be above it. Like it has no right to be as like it should not have hit me the way that it did. But I loved.
I didn't expect that.
It's gonna be my number 1, Tim, when I beat it. I promise you. We're gonna have a conversation in a couple months where I'm gonna be like, you and I really should have fought for Alan Wake.
I know.
And hopefully I'll get the itch to play it too.
Yeah, I'm really sorry I didn't show up for you, buddy.
So, I want to be super clear that Final Fantasy 16 is one of my favorites. It just happened to be also in a year where Spider-Man 2, it just hit me more personally. I have that. I mean, those two are like we're talking like 9.9 versus 10. Like they're so close. And I was trying to think like how do I pick between the two? And I eventually went with the one that I thought Final Fantasy 16 I felt started super personal and then maybe by the end didn't have as much of a personal like battle happening at the end compared to Spider-Man, which started a little less personal and by the end it was very personal. So I don't know why. For some reason I give the slight edge to Spider-Man 2. I don't know why and same thing with Jedi Survivor, by the way. I felt like that story, it became more focused as the narrative went along, which a good story should. And by the very end, I cared so much about the outcome of what was happening. And so that's why I ended up Final Fantasy 16 for no insult on its own. It didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick what it did wrong with the story. It's just 3 other stories happened to hit a little harder for me. I'm saying all that because I do think as a shared ranking, with 3 of you having it 1, and one of us having it 4, that's me. And it's like at a very close 4. I had a group of 4 games at my top, and then I put a space and then put the rest of the games. That's how close those 4 were.
And then all this other bull crap nobody cares
about.
All
this other junk. Yeah. So
garbage.
I think it's our shared number 1. It's just a matter of parsing out. I think probably Spider-Man 2 ends up at number 2 and Jedi Survivor at 3. I could be wrong on.
Jedi is my number 2.
That is my number 2 as well.
It's my number 1, but it's not
only
on
feels
Dan's
crummy
list.
because Dan doesn't have exposure to it. But
yeah.
I think if
I
Dan
can promise
played
you, Dan, you're really gonna like this story.
Oh, I mean, I liked Fallen Order. I did not dislike that game by any means, and I'm assuming this one's an even stronger game, much like Octopath Traveler 1 to 2, right?
Yeah,
they just they like honed in everything and like And
well, they listened to what people were saying about like some of the writing and stuff like that.
The story just like destroys
opening the maps up. Yeah,
the story is so much better than the first game.
Destroys the
and the story in the first game was good.
It was,
I thought so too. Yeah, I like the story of the first game too. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like Star Wars would be above Spider-Man then.
I assume you guys have
I like our
Spider-Man
momentums. This doesn't change anything, but Spider-Man would be my number 5 of these top 5.
And Jeff, where do you have number 3?
That's
3,
and I love it. These are just a strong 5 for me.
Yeah.
I've got Spider-Man at 3. Jeff has it at 3. Dan, you've got it at 2, maybe 3. Like if you include Octopath. And And so I think even without, you don't need to call out any numbers for that. Like the fact that all 4 of us have it in our top 3 or 4, somewhere in that range. I think it's got to be number 2 because Jedi Survivor is like 1 and 2, but then it's off a list. Does that make any sense? Like to me, like it doesn't get enough points. Even if we were to add them up, it wouldn't even be off on your list at all at this point because you haven't played it.
Sure.
So that's why I think this is the order of the top 3.
Okay.
I think it's Final Fantasy 16
Gotcha.
and 2 Jedi.
I'm good with that. Did we end up doing a Survivor spoiler cast?
No. Did we?
I don't remember.
I thought you guys did.
We might.
I don't remember. I feel like we did a spoiler cast for all the top 3 at one point. I could be wrong though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we did. We did.
Okay.
There's no way to know. We can't go find out.
No, I am
literally.
I am immobile right now. It's impossible for me to move to my keyboard.
Can't go look. It's impossible.
I can't reach my keyboard that's right in front of me. It's too far away.
Yep.
I think this is our top 10 stories of the year.
Yeah.
And I love what's been said about each of these. There's so many good narratives. And I love too that we didn't have to go into like, well, this one failed at this aspect. Shut up about it. It was
I'm
really
also
good.
by the way, like
we somehow ranked something without taking shots at anything.
That'll happen later, but for now we've kept it.
Don't worry, that'll happen later. But I like that I don't know. For me, I used to get I'm still invested, don't get me wrong, guys, but I would be so invested in like even just the placement. Like Octopath Traveler being 8 to me, I'm like with Dan. I'm kind of like, that game's story is so incredible. What are we doing? But it's still in the top 10, and it would still be in the bottom 5. So it's like, who cares? It's being fed. It's okay.
Right. It's like being fed.
I honestly like these are the 4 that I cared about.
Yeah.
Like I really liked Baldur's Gate 3 so far. Starfield was a blast.
It's interesting having those 2 right next to each other, by the way, because a lot of the story depends on a lot of your choices. So
correct. That's very, very
and
true.
that's where the writing thrives.
So I'm not as invested as the rest of you. So I'm okay if we want to make one final move. Do we need to make a move of any of these?
It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter to me.
But funny that you say between Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield, and then you're looking at the 2 classically inspired RPG games right next to each other too.
Yeah, Octopath
and Sea of Stars. It's a really interesting year, man. I do wonder how we're going to look at 2023 a few years down the road in terms of gaming.
I feel like with we should be done talking about the list now, and I'm sorry, but I feel like the difference between Octopath and Sea of Stars for me, like Octopath Traveler wrote the individual characters and their backstories and stuff like so much more intricately and better, in my opinion. And Sea of Stars built out the world better, if that makes sense.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, they both have like
they
both do different things better than the other.
Yeah. Good world, because like the brother and sister in Sea of Stars, it's just kind of like a fairly simple setup, you know. The store kind of delivers them, and then they're like the moon and the sun kids, you know. So.
Now I do have Octopath Traveler 2. I bought that and Triangle Strategy on some Square sale on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, in the summer or fall or something.
I think you'll like
have them.
I think you'll definitely notice the huge differences when you get to more of the characters, like in the quality of the writing from Octopath 1 to the 2 for sure.
That was my problem is I think I was like 70 hours into Octopath.
They're long.
1.
Yeah, they're super long.
And so I was just kind of Octopath out. You know, I was just like, I don't really want.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened with the first one.
That's got to be the appealing thing with Sea of Stars for I know Kyle's not here, but for both of you is like it's a 30 to 40 hour game, if that, unless you decide to go back and do the true ending, which will take a lot longer, because the final boss fight is like super long.
I hate that phrase, true ending, but go ahead.
It's like a true secret ending. Let's call it that.
Which really honestly actually is the true ending, because if you know what it is, you're like, oh, okay, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, oh damn it, the game really wanted me to do that. Yeah, I just didn't have. It was like an extra 8 hours. I just didn't have time. Yeah. I didn't have it. But the fact that it is a shorter experience than Octopath by like half.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be somewhat appealing.
All right, guys, there's our top 10 best stories of 2023, at least in gaming, okay? Not best stories overall, but in gaming. So number 10, we've got Talos Principle 2. Number 9 is Sea of Stars. Number 8 is Octopath Traveler 2. Number 7 is Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. Number 6 is Starfield. Number 5 is Baldur's Gate 3. Number 4 is Alan Wake 2. Number 3 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Number 2 is Marvel Spider-Man 2. And number 1 is Final Fantasy 16. It is interesting that nothing in the top 5 is an original IP. Everything is a sequel in that original, in that top 5. And then even outside of that, only 2 are not sequels, right? Starfield and Sea of Stars are the only non-sequels in this list.
Well, 16's not a sequel.
Starfield's just the same mechanics at the
Okay, fair enough. You're right. Yeah, we don't need to get into the sequel debate. You're right, but it is part of the franchise, I should say.
Right, Starfield is super mid. What are we doing in talking about it at all?
Why did it even get number 6?
Hold on.
I like how our top 2 are PlayStation exclusives, but we're Xbox.
We're Xbox.
Yeah, we're Xbox.
But
we're Xbox.
You know what?
Let's just.
But Phil's gonna be mad though. We gotta bump Starfield up. Phil's gonna be mad. Like, come on,
give us the Xbox bump.
Starfield is.
Yeah. Number 1.
There we go.
All right, guys, that does it for best story. I knew that one would take a little extra time. It's also super fun. I love that category.
It's my favorite category. So
I feel like that would be this an overall game of the year will be like the toughest one for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I kind of want to start with that one. Yeah, let's tackle that one. It'll be a few weeks till we get to best game of the year, and it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
I didn't even have to bring up the fact that the story part of, because it was mostly unanimous, the Final Fantasy 16, the lore check thing that you do when you hit the
that's
part of the story.
You get extra points for that one square.
Yeah, that's part of the story, you know. Like if you see, for example, you see those 2 people doing it, and you're like, who are these people doing it? You pause it, and you can go to the active lore thing.
I can put names to these people who are doing it.
Who's doing it?
Yeah. Who's
doing it right now?
Who do it?
Oh, they be humping. Wait, who are they?
Who do it?
Who humping? Who's humping?
Who humping?
God. All right, so let's just take a break with a couple of quick personal lists, and it doesn't have to be these if you've got something different. Like, I don't have a whole list of TV shows I watched this year, but I figured if you want to highlight some of your favorites of the year, you can. Also, this is a good chance for us to tackle our Swimmin' in Sevens. What are some of your favorite games that didn't quite make it over 80 on the Open Critics scale, but they're still really good? You really liked them. So your best Swimmin' in Sevens. So anything below an 80 on Open Critic counts, and whatever. If it's 80 itself, that's fine too. But for the most part, the idea is to highlight some games that aren't likely to get much love on these lists. Let's kick it off with TV shows, just kind of a change of pace a little bit. I just wanted to real quick highlight that I did watch. I know this one's not new, but I finally watched Edge Runners this year. I know it was last year. Loved that show. That was one of my favorites that I watched this year. And then sticking with Netflix on the animated front, Blue Eye Samurai was one of my favorites. So 2 amazing animated shows from Netflix that I wanted to kick it off with. I don't have these ranked. Those are just 2 of my faves that I watched this year. One old, one a little newer. I know, Jeff, you've got a ranked list, but first...
So many. I shared a top 25, and even if you click on the link on if you're friends with me on Facebook, if you click on the link, it'll take you to like honorable mentions, and there's even 30 extra listed. Because I watch that much TV. There's so much good TV. It's a problem.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I don't know if you want to do like a top 10. What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
For my TV, I was just going to breeze through a top 10 without really dwelling.
Let's hear it. What do you got?
Oh, okay. So for number 10, I have Dark Side of the Rings new season. They talked about Bash at the Beach 2000. That's a win in my book. That show was just god awful. I loved it so much. Number 9 is Barry final season. Great final season. Number 8 is Scavenger's Reign. This is not the only animated show I'll mention. Number 7, Attack on Titan final chapters. That counts. Number 6, Last of Us. Did not think it would be below the top 5, but here we are. Top 5 is How To with John Wilson, that final season. I did have
you guys talked about that one. Yeah.
I did have the pleasure of seeing at least one of the episodes with Kyle, and that was an experience in itself because if you don't watch it with friends, you're kind of just gesturing to yourself like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
you watch
like
it with
you
a friend,
get
it's just
sharing
totally
like, is
different.
this really going on right now?
Yeah.
Like,
How did he end up at a vacuum convention? This is crazy. So my number 4 is Loki, one of the best things Marvel's ever done, period. My top 3 will be unsurprising to people that A, watch all the TV I watch, and B, have heard me talk on the show. Number 3 is The Bear. Number 2 is Blue Eye Samurai. And number 1 is Succession. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Dude, I just want a second because I didn't create a list for this. I should have, but I was too busy trying to figure out other spreadsheet stuff. Last of Us is on my list.
Done enough.
Love that show. Love that show. And then The Bear. You're right. That's the newest season of The Bear was so
unbelievable.
So,
they're similar to what we just talked about with the games getting better from first iteration to the next.
Yeah, I love both of those.
Certainly, the show's getting better as it goes along. Like it's crazy how good the filmmaking is getting. But yeah, Succession, the fact that it's number 1 and it was the final season should tell everybody that might have been worried about it not wrapping up nicely. It's great. Please go watch that show. It's freaking awesome. And I think, Dan, you finished it too this year, right?
Yeah, what a friggin' roller coaster.
Oh my gosh.
Just what an absolute.
So funny though. In like the darkest of ways, it's really funny.
Yeah.
I still say randomly like big shoes. It's from the final season. When he's doing this awkward presentation to like all these potential shareholders, I guess. And he just keeps introducing and going, big shoes. Like he's got big shoes to fill. And he's like, big shoes, big. He just keeps saying it. And people like are watching going, yep, autism, what's going on with him?
I mean, everyone in that show is such a D-bag. Like they're just so terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
All right, Dan, what about you? What are some of your favorite TV shows this year?
I mean, it's so hard to remember things, but I mean, Jeff pretty much like reminded me of most of that. Yeah. Succession. I mean, I binge watched that. That was fantastic. Last of Us. I mean, they finally did it, guys. A video game adaptation that's really amazing, huh?
Mario.
Huh?
Oh,
way
sorry,
to go.
Last of Us.
Thanks to Papa Pedro Pascal for that.
So they did a great job with that. The bear, like that's not. I don't know. That just doesn't feel like something I would like. Cooking stuff like. Wouldn't really be watching that unless it's like Gordon Ramsay because I just love watching him yell at people.
Stupid cow. Yeah.
You fucking donut. But yeah, The Bear is just and the way it's shot is just so like unnecessarily beautiful. Like just like the way when they go in and they're doing the food like stuff like and they're just zooming in. It's like I'm hungry now. But I'm trying to think of what else.
You said Bear. You already mentioned Barry.
I know Bear. Yeah. Oh, Barry. Yeah, Barry. I don't know. Yeah, like Barry and Succession end in such a way that's just like, and it's done. By the way, and it's done. Yeah. Like, and it's just like, oh, it's almost like jarring. They were like jarring to me.
Yeah,
the both of those.
A quick Google search and Succession's at the top of so many lists of favorites.
Yeah, I'm a poser really, but I really did love the final season so much.
Yeah,
one that I wanted to also highlight while Dan was talking reminded me of it. Beef was one of my favorites that was a really fun show.
Beef is great. Yeah.
Great show.
I can't think of really anything else. I'm sure there is something, but I can't think of it.
What were some of your favorite TV shows of the year?
I had a top 10. I had a top 10 and this is ranked.
Sweet. Yeah.
My number 10 is Fargo. My number 9 is Barry. My number 8 is Loki. I want to echo from Jeff. It is maybe top 2 best things Marvel has ever done, period. Dang. My number 7 is Beef. Thank you for mentioning that, Tim. Yes. 6 is Fall of the House of Usher. Number 5 is Shrinking. I love Shrinking so much. I think that show is just absolutely excellent. Yeah. Number 4 is Ahsoka. Dave Filoni, you did it. Good job, you stupid cowboy hat wearing mofo. You brought a TV show that no one saw and then made everyone care about a bunch of characters no one knew about. So, yeah, that's crazy.
It worked.
Number 3 is The Last of Us. Pedro Pascal, you're great, man. Good job. Number 2, Blue Eye Samurai. Number 1, Scavenger's Reign. Probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I need to watch this, man. Legit. I keep hearing so many good things about this show.
I'm glad you mentioned Fargo because that season is definitely a return to form. Not that it misstepped in the last season, but it's it was like right outside my 10. So like I love that.
There's never been a bad season of Fargo, but this one's been like particularly great.
Yeah. And I love Dave too is another one I wanted to mention. All the celeb cameos this season was just off the charts. I couldn't believe he got all those people. It was fun to watch.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of our favorite Swimmin' in Sevens games. I actually do have a ranked list for this one, so I'll kick it off in case you guys don't have a ranked list. Maybe, and just like what happened with TV shows, maybe I'll mention something that because Jeff and Kyle mentioning some, they're like, oh yeah, I like that. I forgot about that. That was really good. So for where'd my Swimmin' in Sevens go?
Yeah, I don't play games that are like below 9.0, guys. So,
I know you don't. I know you don't. Yeah.
Ponies are like, why'd you play Starfield then? I see what they sound like in between words. They just go.
So I stayed pretty strict to the rule that it couldn't be above like an 80 or above on OpenCritic, but you don't have to. Whatever. There's no.
That's what I did.
No laws here. But for me, so at number 10 was After Image, which is, by the way, we left Let's Play of that one up, and I'm planning on playing it more. That game's a lot of fun. Number 9 is Teardown, that kind of Minecraft destroy everything game, that destruction simulator. Number 8 is Wild Hearts, EA's attempt at a Monster Hunter style game. And then Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the epitome of Swimmin' in Sevens, but it's like fun but not amazing. You know what I mean? SteamWorld Build was at number 6 for me. And then Warhammer 40K Bolt Gun, number 5. That game was
ridiculous. Got below 80.
Yeah, some of these I'm looking at and I'm like, didn't everyone love these games? How is this a 70 something?
Crazy. Number 4 was the Mage Seeker. I actually just reinstalled it recently because I'm like, I'm going to finish this game. I know we're going to talk about it a lot, which we have already, and I love that game. So I need to get back and finish it.
So good.
Number 3 was Bramble the Mountain King. Don't know how that was rated below 80, but boy, do I love that one.
Yeah.
Number 2, because I'm a Jimmy Cameras cuck, it's Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. That game is so fun. It is a Far Cry Primal like, and I like it a lot. I understand if you don't, but like it's the same thing with Far Cry Primal. I never argued if someone's like, I hate that game. I'm like, totally fine. I understand. I really enjoy it. And then number 1 is actually a recent one that just randomly popped up a couple weeks ago on Steam, called Trinity Fusion. It's a little bit of a Dead Cells like, sort of. It's really fun. Love the combat in that game. Yeah. So that's my Swimmin' in Sevens. Who else wants to go? If you guys have a list of your favorite Swimmin' in Sevens, just start it up. Whoever wants to.
I'm like looking through the list here.
I have
together a couple.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go then.
Yeah. All right,
Jeff,
what do you got?
I have a list, but it's not in order of anything.
Okay, that's fine.
Did you already mention a few of these? Let me look through. Avatar is 1. It's a surprising Swimming in Sevens for me because it's like quality-wise, it's like an 8, but I get the scores. I'm like, I get it. Disney Illusion Island, I totally get why it's a 7, and it's not really asking a lot out of gamers at all.
Sure.
But it's something about it keeps me going back to it. It's
another really good music game too, by the way. If you go back and listen to the score, what
good
the
call.
heck? Yes.
I gotta add that. I gotta add that to my scores then.
Yeah.
What else is there? Expanse, definitely a Sevens game. The Expanse.
Okay. Yeah.
I just played the demo, but this is a perfect Sevens game. It's the RoboCop game.
Oh my gosh!
And just for that, just for those 2 hours, it's great. If it's more of the same, then I'm not interested. But those 2 hours of manhandling people is so much fun.
Yep.
This one should be getting 8s, and it's not, and it's Trine 5 or Trine 5, whatever it is.
Yeah, Trine. Yeah.
Clockwork Conspiracy. That game is so freaking smooth. And even playing single player, switching between 4 characters so you can use different elemental powers to solve puzzles, feels really good. Like the gameplay's smooth. It looks like a cartoon that you're playing. It looks so good visually. The music's good and playful. Why is it getting 7s? It makes no sense to me. Yeah. And then my favorite would probably, obviously, be AEW Fight Forever.
Yeah, dude.
It has to be. I mean, bias. Hello.
That's my number 11. It just didn't make the list of my top 10.
It's what I expected out of the game. I expected it to be a low budget N64 version of like a WWE game, but with AEW people, and that's what it was. And that's what I wanted.
One of the key characteristics of a Swimmin' in Sevens games. It meets expectations. Yes. It doesn't exceed any.
No, it exceeded nothing. And like when people are like bitching about that, and they were like, "My expectations." So I'm like, why were they? This is a new company. It's a new wrestling company, guys.
What were you thinking?
Why? so crazy to me.
Kyle, what were some of your favorite Swimmin' in Sevens?
I just want to get out of the way and say that Metal Gear Solid, the collection being in the 70s, is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I just noticed
so
that.
I'm not even gonna put it on here.
Yeah.
It doesn't qualify to me.
I hear
3
you.
masterpiece games. You're gonna never mind. I just can't get over that.
It's the Konami.
So the other games are, despite Payday 3's issues, it is a solid game when it's working. So I played a lot of that. That game's a lot of fun. El Paso Nowhere, just vibes the video game. It's just really, really, really interesting and unique, but also low budget and kind of corny. It's an interesting game.
It looks fun. All the diving around and
stuff. Very Max Payne-y. Yeah, I was surprised to see Persona 5 Tactica is so low because I feel like a lot of people really like that game. The game is very solid and it's got a really solid combat system for its genre. And then the last one would be Dead Island 2. Surprise of the year for me for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, nice. Dan, what about you? What are some of your favorites that maybe aren't in the 80s or above?
Yeah, I'm scrolling through Open Critic, and the only thing that I played this year that's in the 70s is Dead Island 2.
Dan, a man of quality.
Yeah.
that game is really fun. Like
that game's an 8. That game's an 8. I'll say it. I'll go ahead and say it. Yeah, the game's an 8.
Yeah, I'm here for it. That game is super fun. It really doesn't get old, like just running up to zombies and like just straight up drop kicking them. Like it just doesn't get old. Like it just doesn't. So yeah, that was really and Metal Gear Solid. Like, listen, we get it, guys. Konami sucks. They're terrible. Bags of shit, all right, literally bags of shit. But come on, like
I think a lot of people probably graded it low, and I hate to bring this up because of the frame rate stuff and not real 4K quality and all that good stuff, So it may not be the modern package everybody wanted, but it's the only package we've got, guys.
Yeah, could we?
It's literally the only way to play these games unless you have an old console and an old version of these games. So
yeah, could we? I don't know, stop being so goddamn pretentious. Pull the stick out of our behinds and like stop being so fixated on 4K this and 60. Like the games work, okay.
I don't want to see Metal Gear Solid 1 in 4K. You know how pixelated that game is? Like you want all those pixels in 4K. Like
yeah.
Like
I don't think people know what they're
really rough looking, man. Like you don't need to make it worse.
I just really feel like so many people are just so shallow about those things. It's like those are the first 2 things that they ask, and it's like, is there any substance to you as a human being?
That's what you focus on. Like it's what you learn how to criticize something with. So it's a learned thing for a lot of people. For some people, it's real, but for a lot of people, it's learned.
Also, everyone played games when they were 30 frames per second, and we were all fine. Like we all survived.
We weren't getting headaches.
30.
We weren't getting.
Dan, I played them at like 6 frames per second.
It's true. Yes,
you guys had 30 frames.
Like we survived. We were okay, everybody.
And you know what? You're going to be okay if you ever play a 30 frame. If you listener, you're going to be fine.
You're going to be all right.
30 frames per second.
Kyle's here to tell you it's going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
It's going to be okay, guys.
We're all playing Metal Gear Solid 4 later next year or the year after, and it's in 30 frames or whatever it ends up being in. It's not going to matter because we're going to get to play it.
Metal Gear Solid 4 being available again is a miracle. It is a miracle.
But it'll get a 7, I'm sure. But it is a miracle that we're gonna get it at all.
Yes, it's a miracle.
All right, dudes, let's dive into our last category of this evening. That is best music in video gaming of 2023. Let me know if you can all see this. Okay.
Indeed.
Kyle and Jeff, can you see that? Okay.
No. Yes, but I refuse to look.
Sure. Just listen.
That's fair.
Because it's
my
music.
eyes are closed now.
That is totally fine. All right. So when I moved a window in front so I could look at something, does that block it for you when I do that?
No.
All right, cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, guys. Just wanted to make sure because I'm gonna have to play some tunes for part of this. I just want to make sure it's not blocking when I pull that player up. Okay. Hey, let's just start. I'm going to go through and start naming ones that I think, or you guys can, as we look through the list here, that I think we need to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and move Highland Song over because I know we at least need to mention it.
Sure.
No idea what
that
that's a
is.
win. It's number 1.
Alan Wake 2 music is something that needs to be at least addressed.
Baldur's Gate 3, bring it over, man.
Baldur's Gate 3. What about Armored Core 6?
I don't really remember any of the music in this game, but that doesn't mean That's not a.
I think there were some cool tunes in there, but yeah, nothing sticking out that I'm like that should be on the list.
That's actually what I was about to say about Assassin's Creed Mirage, Dan. Like your exact words. There's some cool tunes in there, but nothing really sticks out. I'm still gonna move it over just because the main theme is pretty cool, but I know it's not gonna make the final list. I can't remember if there's standout tunes in Avatar. I'm sure it's good. Ubisoft doesn't really pinch pennies when it comes to
I only remember the
production
music
quality,
when you go into Pandora for the first time. That was cool, but that's all I remember.
Same with Bayonetta Origins. I'm certain it's got some great little tunes. I just don't remember anything specific.
Bramble.
And shamefully, none of us have really dove into Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Oh, I bet Bomb Rush Cyberpunk would be like all over this list.
I bet it's amazing.
Yeah.
I just haven't played the music. Speaking of amazing, Bramble the Mountain King's music is
good music.
It's unbelievable, dude. That is really a varied score. I did not expect that. I went through the score a little bit a few hours ago, and I was like, oh, there's like singing in this one too. Yeah, this one's suspenseful and dramatic and like
very, very good. Okay, Cocoon, although they're making it impossible to find their music. I remember liking the music, but I couldn't find it to re-listen to it anywhere.
I do not remember it, I'll be honest. But
I remember being like nice little piano touches as you're exploring around, but sorry, Cocoon, make your soundtrack available and maybe we'll move it over to our list.
It's only on Steam, and guess what? Not getting music there. Tell you that right now.
Convergence tunes are pretty good. Jeff, we move that one over?
I don't remember the music in that one.
Okay. I'll at least put it here. If we decide to give it a listen, we can. Hey, Crash Team Rumble has some good music, everybody. Okay.
You listened to it?
I didn't, but that was for Gaston.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to put it right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably check it out. Okay. Dave the Diver music was okay. It just wasn't. There's better indie music examples out there. And indie, I should use that in quotes. Better indie music examples out there. Dead Island 2 music?
Yeah.
Okay. Deliver Us Mars has some good tunes.
Yeah.
A little derivative sounds like an insult, but like it's not going to stand out. Like if the music doesn't stand out compared to like a lot of other.
No, it kind of sounds like an AI thing made it based on its history of consuming other sci-fi movies or whatever. Anyway, Diablo 4 is really good. Yes.
And Disney Illusion Island is very, very good.
Yeah, good call out. I totally forgot about the score in that, and it is like very classic and like
and Dredge too. Such good music. What about the El Paso Elsewhere? You guys mentioned that game. Music?
Yeah, I think we should move it over because it's like Max Payne basically. So it's
okay.
I don't know. A lot of the scores are like there's even some songs in there that are like about what you're doing. I don't know. It's very weird, very much an homage.
I'm gonna bring Final Fantasy 16 over, of course.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Sure. It's amazing. What about the Forspoken music? It's easy to make fun of that game. I get it, but like, was the music good?
I didn't actually even play the game, so I can't.
Yeah, I legit don't remember the score at all in Forspoken.
Okay. All right.
It's nothing memorable.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
That's a shame.
Good to know. Let's keep moving down here. And just interrupt
Kyle,
me.
by the way,
Hi-Fi Rush is coming over.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush is awesome. Kyle, I had him move over. What's the name of the game? El Paso Elsewhere.
Yeah, that's got a really good sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good
cool. I'm just making sure I wasn't crazy for that one.
Yeah. No,
Hogwarts
there's a couple songs at the beginning that are great.
Heck yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. We are righting a wrong that the Game Awards did.
Hey,
Hogwarts Legacy.
I don't think I really want to dig into the humanity stuff too much. I know some people like that game more than they should, but that score is so weird. It's so cool though. Like it's a very strange, like, what are these weird noises that are in this score? It's that kind of a soundtrack where you're like, did Tom York make this? Like, what is this? Like, what is this? It's a very odd soundtrack.
It's not gonna make it, on the top 10 by any means, but I actually want to give a shout out to Honkai Star Rail soundtrack. The music in that is like it doesn't need to be that good, but it's actually some really good orchestral like piano stuff in there. Like it's actually really nice. So
that's cool.
But shout out to Honkai Star Rail music. So
I was trying to search for it, but
Spotify the main theme is like really beautiful.
I like it. I'm gonna try to close Spotify and reopen it, see if it likes me more if I do that. Okay, Jusant, we need to move over. That's got great music.
Jusant.
That does not sound good. I should not say that.
Like a Dragon Gaiden has a really good soundtrack.
Yes, dude. Nice. Okay.
And Ishin would be at the top of all these lists, guys. We all know it, but it's a remake. So we gotta.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Fair enough. Lords of the Fallen? No. Let's keep going here. Spider-Man 2's music, of course.
Spider-Man 2's out of
reliably great.
Okay. Believe it or not, the Minecraft Legends soundtrack is stupidly good, but it's also similar to we talked about Deliver Us Mars. It does sound a little bit like it could be from any game. It's just weird. It's weirdly like orchestral. And like, why is this so epic? What are they?
Yeah.
Why do they? It's because they have money. They can hire any orchestra they want.
That's right.
Mortal Kombat 1 music.
Yeah, it's not. It wouldn't be on the list, but
Octopath Traveler 2 music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. Okay, tell me if you need me to stop.
Payday 3's music's really good.
Okay.
Bring it over, yeah. But Payday, that's a staple of the franchise. Is great music that plays along, and like the beats per minute like increases as like the action in your game increases, and it's just like I like it when gameplay kind of affects music.
I do too. I moved Hi-Fi Rush over for that same.
If Hi-Fi Rush doesn't end up on the top 10, we're all crazy.
Yeah,
so.
we're done. Pikmin 4 music? Yes, no, maybe.
I played only a little bit of the demo. I have no idea.
Persona 5 is like remixes of some of the best songs ever in any game ever.
Persona 5 Tactica. Okay.
Yeah.
Ravenlock's tunes are pretty good.
Lana, we moved over because that game is incredible, or the score is incredible.
Redfall? Okay, let's keep moving. How's the Remnant 2 music?
I don't remember it being really standout, but like, boy, I would hate to be wrong about that.
Sea of Stars, absolutely.
Yeah, Sea of Stars, yeah.
Hey, I'm going to bring this over just so I have an excuse to play you a little clip of it, because the Shadow Gambit music is so fun. So we'll look at that.
Skull Island, Rise of Kong?
Yes. It's probably just a sound that was a placeholder for music.
Yeah, no, like, it's a MIDI, so yeah, exactly, the placeholder sound, yeah.
It's actually just like a robotic voice saying, placeholder.
Insert music here.
Insert music here.
Oh, gotta have Jedi Survivor.
Star Wars,
Jedi Survivor, Starfield, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, totally agree.
Xbot.
Right, yeah.
Oh, Mario Wonder. Yeah, dude.
Oh my God. Again,
absolutely.
we are righting wrongs of the Game Awards with Mario Wonder and Hogwarts.
That's right. Street Fighter 6?
I don't remember, yeah.
I mean, I played the demo and I couldn't stand the music, to be honest. But I don't like hip hop music, so I mean,
I feel like Stray Gods would be in there if the game were less insufferable. I don't know.
I didn't play it. So
that's my take, at least.
Okay.
I know it's like praised across the industry as a game, but I could not get into it at all. It is a game. Yeah, but it's also a musical, so it's like
Tears of the Kingdom over, which of course has amazing music, and Mage Seeker. Just because I want you guys to hear, it's by the guy who did the Ori soundtrack. You got to at least hear a clip of it. Let's see. 10 Hearts. I just want to say that 10 Hearts is worth a look on Game Pass because it's charming and the music is really, really pretty. Although I don't think it's going to make our top 10, but it is really, really pretty.
Way to skip over the best music of the year, Theater Rhythm. Let's do it.
Literally a celebration of the entire series.
It's like a cheat code. It's a cheat code.
It's like, here's all the best music from every game ever.
Yeah.
I know some folks love Under the Waves tunes. I just haven't heard them.
I haven't either.
Same. Don't even know what that is.
It's
a game, and you play it.
It's a video game. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Taking notes.
Wanted Dead.
Wanted Dead actually has some fun music, but I don't want to even fight for it. Just know it's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very.
That's kind of how I feel about 10 Hearts.
Platinum Gamesy adjacent, or something of that nature. No More Heroes, more like Suda 51 type of joint.
Gotcha. All right. Wolong has excellent music too, but I don't think it's gonna make our list because none of us really played it and loved it. But I'm just gonna at least give it a nod because that's the music's
give it
really
a
good.
nod.
All right, let me organize these.
Good for you.
Organize these and we'll see what's missing.
Excuse me.
Guys
God.
This list is somehow longer, I think.
It is. We are at 32.
Yeah. That happened.
32. But a lot of it was just, hey, let's just look at this one real quick. But I don't know that it's going to make a top 10 necessarily.
On about that, dude.
Maybe they will. They'll totally make a top 10. Okay, so what is anything missing that you see here? Highland Song, Alan Wake, Baldur's Gate, Diablo 4. Those are all in here. Final Fantasy, Hi-Fi Rush, Hogwarts.
I don't see anything on my list. So
keep making the throat noise. It sounds great.
That's good podcasting. That's what that is.
Yeah, it is. It's excellent.
Profesh.
Resident Evil 4, but yeah, kind of the same thing. It's a remake. That music is good though. Like some of the same with Mario RPG. Some of the remake versions of those tunes were really good.
Yeah, I would have been fighting for Mario RPG, but It's
Well, Phantom Liberty as well. I would have.
And the Phantom Liberty music.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah,
Hey, listen.
that would be number one for me, to be honest. Yeah.
If this podcast if we weren't already in hour 3 because we finished 2 hours, then I would say let's revisit those rules for this category. But it's too late.
Sure.
We're too far down the road.
We're good.
But those are good. Go check those out, man. That forest maze theme in Mario RPG. Oh my gosh.
Did Jeff? Did you get there? Did you get to the forest?
And what, Mario? No.
Oh, God damn it, Jeff.
That music
also,
is so
if we're talking about the very first time you get into a fight in Phantom Liberty, that song that kicks on,
yeah,
it's out of this world.
Okay, all right, man. So much good music this year. All right, guys, let's look at a couple of these here. I don't think I have. Do I have Highland? I thought I had a Highland song on here, Jeff, because you sent it to me, and I thought I added it, but maybe it's not on mine.
I did. It should be at the bottom.
It's not there.
Oh, I saw you at it, dude.
I thought so too. Why am I not seeing
took it off.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's not under A. It's under H.
Oh
Boy. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
It's piano. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me switch my output here.
I'm hearing it good.
Oh. I love
it too loud, too quiet? Is it okay?
It's so good. No, it's perfect actually.
I think it's good.
I have to put in this other headphone.
It's perfect because we can like hear each other, and yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
I just love the I don't know, the kind of tragic playing that Nordic music does on the violin.
For those of you listening, this is from a Highland song.
Yeah.
Really, really. I mean, of course, it's called a Highland song, so we have to.
Yeah, this is like from the. This is from the titles, like screen on the game when you load it up. But like the game itself is kind of a music game, and it's like there's rhythm in the gameplay and stuff that you have to time your jumps. And that music is a lot of it's more upbeat because you have to run and jump.
Oh, okay.
Like, so a lot is more upbeat and more like jig-like, if you will.
Also, I don't know if this will be on our top 10 or not, guys, but we have to at least talk about this for a second. So this is. Do you recognize it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So this is from Alan Wake 2, of course, the Herald of Darkness. And this song
it
plays
might have
a lot.
to be in our top 10 just for the boldness of that moment in the game, like.
And that's not the only music-centric moment in the game.
Oh, cool.
I can tell you that. It's the only level that's centered around us. Like that is so in your face. That is crazy. But yeah,
it's better than it has any right to be as a moment in the game.
That is like so good. We'll skip ahead here a little bit. I wanted, especially since maybe it doesn't get highlighted too much, the Bramble the Mountain King soundtrack has some insane tunes. The use of horns is so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's got a vibe to it.
Yeah, and it fits with the game perfectly. That's another part of it too. I think Kyle, you mentioned that where when the music works with the game and helping tell the story and helping set the tone and all that, man. And
did you get like one of like there's like I guess they're boss fights or whatever, but did you get one of those songs in there?
I did not. If you've got a specific one, you can let me know and I can go look for it.
One that I was listening to not long ago. It was like I think it was the Butcher song.
Hey, let's not forget something like this.
Yeah, the Butcher song is wild. Which one's this?
Oh, Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so this is To Sail Forbidden Seas is the name of this track. So I think this is a no-brainer to be somewhere on the top 10. So I think we can move that in somewhere over here.
I don't know why
I was going to say the
chat, but there you go.
I can't remember the name of the song, but the Phoenix's theme is my favorite. And it's like the first like song you hear, so it kind of like starts off with a bang, but
the Flame one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I've got that one. So here's the one that Jeff was talking about with Bramble.
Yeah, this is one of like the suspenseful boss fights, even though you're really just jumping around and avoiding it. But like,
oh jeez,
it gets heavy.
That sounds menacing.
It is. And
yeah, he's like a giant
that scene is where you realize, oh, this game is going to be violent. Got it.
Yeah, it's super violent. Yeah.
yeah. Really good though, of course. Oops, I lost your guys' faces. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
How do I get back to the call?
How do I live without you?
Oh, okay, there we are. For some reason, brought up how do I want the menu to go away? Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Technology.
All right, so I'm also going to move Hi-Fi Rush over because I think it's already been said multiple times. We'd be stupid to not have it somewhere on this list.
I agree.
Guys, Hi-Fi Rush. Let me get back to my list here. I mean, come on. Like, I know this sounds like cheesy rock, but as soon as if you've played this game for any length of time and that song kicks in, you immediately picture him like rocking back and forth in the beat, or like running to the beat maybe, and his footsteps are hitting with it and things are flying out, or you're hitting enemies to the rhythm. Like, the use of music in this is so good, and the music itself very good, but the use of it is brilliant.
It's something that you have to like experience to kind of be like, all right, like the music maybe is a little radio rocky, but like it's the actual like gameplay, the experiencing that with the music is like.
I agree. It's somewhere in our top 10. I feel the same about Baldur's Gate 3. I think it's so high quality. It's got to be somewhere over here.
Yeah, I agree. I listened to several, and they got like traditional fantasy songs that you would expect.
Yeah, they do a lot of bard songs, and the cool thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is it really takes lessons from Lord of the Rings, where they use that Down by the River song as the motif for the entire. So you'll hear that song, that particular melody throughout almost every song in the entire game. But yeah, that main theme music from the main menu is really something special.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, it gives like everything from God of War to Lord of the Rings. It's got all these little pieces, but it's still.
There's a prettier version of this song with the girl singing it, not like a choir of dudes. Like there's so many variations of the song that just echoes through this whole game.
So good. Yeah, that one's somewhere over here. Guys, Diablo 4 has incredible
let me share.
music.
This is one of my favorite songs on there. Oops,
What's the name? Just tell me the name of it.
That was it. Ked Bardu. I had the link, but I'm
Ked Bardu. Okay, I found it. Here we go.
I just put the link in.
Ked Bardukas.
Also with like the men's choir underneath.
Yeah. A lot of epic songs in this.
Yeah, definitely.
What is that one from?
It's from Diablo 4.
Right, okay.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think Diablo 4 is a likely placement somewhere on this list as well.
I agree. It's just too epic. I mean, similar to Baldur's Gate 3.
We'll revisit it.
That's just like a town song. Like there's so many.
Yeah, that's just you walking around.
Huge moments and boss fights where the songs are just going out of control.
Yeah, we'll revisit if we feel like we need to compare it with something else.
Sure.
Don't know if it'll make the list, but just wanted to share for a second about Dredge. And it fits this kind of like old-timey sea explorer theme too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But when the main melody kicks in on this theme, it's so good. That right there, that little piano.
The violin is nice.
It's so nice. Yeah. And there are moments where, like you guys mentioned, where the game, something's bigger is happening, so the music does pick up, but it's got a great through line melody, of course, going throughout. Convergence, maybe not quite as memorable, but good. The League of Legends spin-offs continue to just, at the very least, be good and sometimes even great in games as well as their music. Yeah, apparently Riot Forge has some money to spend, so they
have a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Oh wow. Yeah.
So this is the Convergence main title theme. It's good, man. It's.
Yeah, I couldn't remember their score, but my brain was telling me I think there's more like rock sounds in it. Like it's a mixture of like kind of techno and
a little more of
EDM. There's some EDM stuff in it too. Yeah,
I'm here for that.
That's cool.
I do think Hogwarts Legacy belongs somewhere on our top 10.
I agree.
Dan, I know you just got this one too. Kyle, you played it a bunch. Jeff and I both.
Even just letting the menu sit there idle while I look stuff up, it was just amazing. Like even just that idle menu score.
I mean, and there's little touches of John Williams melodies that they sort of use, but not totally. Like they just give you little reminders of them, like little progressions that are like, oh, that's the Harry Potter song. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Like they do a great job with that. Star Wars does a lot of similar things.
This is the menu theme, right?
It's called Overture to the Unwritten.
Oh. So I think it's a combination of everything.
It's a long song, and it mixes all kinds of stuff together. I'm skipping ahead, by the way, obviously. Yeah. So it's
they got it sounds like a John Williams did the score.
So
like
good.
It's a perfect. I mean, kind of like the Star Wars games where it's like this is an emulation of John Williams, and it's perfect. It's like it sounds so good.
Let me see if I can find.
Excuse me.
Honkai Star Rail. There it is, I think.
Yeah, if you can find the main theme. The main theme is just like it starts really simple with just the piano, but kind of crescendos.
Is it Wildfire? That's the one that's got the most views or listens, I guess.
If you started playing it, I'd recognize.
Here's Embers. This one does not have the most, but it's the first one.
No, it's not that one. I'd have to.
Okay, here's the one that's got the most listens by a lot, called Wildfire. Oh,
no, that's not it. Hold on.
Oh, there's an instrumental version. Ooh, that's cool.
And I mean, that's good too, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. Hold on.
Yeah, nothing has like theme in the title. They all have their own titles.
Yeah. Trying to. Is it Take the Journey, maybe?
Is this still Honkai?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good music. Good music, guys. On this one.
No, that's not it. Never mind. God damn it.
It's all right. We can always circle back to it. But I think there's a few that we've got kind of in consideration. I'm going to grab a couple of these. So I don't know that they're going to make it, but we're at least like talking about them.
Yeah.
Bramble, Dredge, Honkai. These are being at least discussed. I'm not sure that they're going to make the list. Spider-Man 2 music is so good. Here's a question I have for you that's going to probably haunt our conversations for the next few weeks. To what degree does it have to be new for it to be? Because like I actually went back and listened to some of the original soundtrack of the 2018 game and some of this one. They're both excellent. Of course, there's differences, but there's a lot of similarities too. I had the same thing when I was listening through to Tears of the Kingdom. It's so good, and yet I've heard a lot of it before, just arranged differently. And so that's not an insult whatsoever. I'm just curious what you guys think about that. Does that factor in?
I think that's why I put it so low in my personal list. Is like it's a lot of it's the same. It's really well done,
Great
but
theme.
a lot of it is the same themes.
It's like really great music, but like it's not something I'd be listening to in the car.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of the times, like, because like I don't like listen to video game music too often outside of playing the game, unless I'm like really in the mood for that. But if it's something that I'm like I really enjoy and I'll be listening to it in the car, I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Like that, if I'm driving around, I'll listen. So it's kind of like that's how I look at it. But
okay. Yeah, a couple of these that I don't think we're even gonna entertain moving over, like Highland Song, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Convergence. Crash Team Rumble, you made a good effort, but you're not going to make it.
Yeah, we talked about it so much.
We totally talked about it. I just want to at least, and we're not going to bring Disney Losing Island over because none of us really played it a lot to champion this one, but just let me skip ahead a little bit here.
Good classic Disney tunes.
This is their kind of main theme or intro theme. I mean, how pretty.
So pretty and
Very
whimsical in a way. If I may.
It does what it's supposed to do, and it does it really well. Let's look at El Paso Elsewhere. I don't have any of this one. And then Dan, I'll look at the one you sent.
Yeah, it's really simple. It takes a little bit to build up, but I just think it's like surprise. It's like it has no business being as good as
El Paso Elsewhere Part 2. No, that can't be it. Let's see. I'm having trouble finding any. Well, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't feel too strong about bringing it over to top 10 either. So
okay,
yeah, me neither.
I'm having trouble finding the actual tunes. Okay, so for right now, it stays over here. It put up a good fight, just like Crash Team Rumble did. All right.
I found something on Bandcamp by the guy who did the score.
Okay.
You have to skip ahead to get to the good parts though, because it starts very ambient.
So.
But yeah, it's the part 1 you're talking about, basically.
Jusant has great music and it helps along with the story. It is a lot of ambient music.
It is very
that way
ambient.
when it does build up and hits, it hits hard. But there's not a ton of tracks that's easy to highlight. I'll skip ahead here a little bit.
Yeah, this is like when it's picking
lots of
up.
like a lot of ambience, a lot of reverb.
There was one called I think Solstice or something. That track is super good. And that's really when you get to a crazy beautiful view at the top of a mountain somewhere.
So nice.
That's when the music really swells up and surprises you.
Reminds me of like Shadows of the Colossus, where it's so ambient and quiet for so much of that game, and then in those big moments, a boss fight or after a boss fight, that's when the music is like, whoa, that was really good. It's similar in vibe to that one. Okay. Let me look at some of these links you guys sent.
Dan sent the Honkai.
Yeah, let me do the. Oh, we already got Ked Bardu. We did that one. All right, let's check out. Tell me if you guys can hear this when it plays. It might be an ad first. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. It starts with just the piano, but like it does kind of like swell up. It just takes a bit. So if you want to skip ahead, but
yeah, I'll skip ahead about 30 seconds. I'll go to a minute.
Whoa.
Good job, China.
Good job,
China. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, that little like just.
Ugh, so pretty. I hate it.
Yeah, it has no.
I'm
business.
mad that I like it. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, it has no business being as good as it is. Like
even the other stuff we just heard was like good from that game. So like, damn.
Yeah, really good music.
Listen to this here. El Paso Elsewhere.
Yeah, you might have to skip ahead to get to like the weird sounds.
Okay.
Because it gets very action packed.
Whoa. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That does sound Max Payne.
Yeah, it was very much a Max Payne tribute through and through.
Oh, how cool is this?
Dude,
I like that a lot.
What?
This dude.
I like this a lot. Wow, dude. All right, I'm gonna have to stop because we'll keep listening to it. That is really good. I like that a lot.
Imagine our surprise as we're playing the game and that music comes in. We're like, "Whoa, shit!" Like we're in the middle of shooting, and then it starts doing something like. There's even a rap song in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a rap song, and it's like describing what you're doing. It's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah.
And here's the Octopath Traveler 2 track from Kyle.
Oh, oof.
How do you even pick one? You know, I just picked a couple.
I even love just the idle music of like walking around.
Yeah.
This one is so good.
It's unshakable. It seemed like it was Reddit's #1 favorite. So
yeah.
Man, this is so good.
Yeah. I like want to play it again, but it's so long.
Motif right there.
Yeah.
Oh, great melody line.
Oh,
right, we're moving this
boss
one
theme.
All right.
I think one of the boss themes is like, just I don't even have words. Like.
All right. So let's see here. Oh, we didn't do any Like a Dragon, so maybe send me
I don't know if I want to fight hard for that one. I couldn't even find a song. I found a couple songs that were like the ending credit scenes, but they were like they were real songs that were brought in to be used.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, I see.
Everything else is like really moody electric guitar and like, which is like that whole series. So it's just competent.
Talking about,
but I don't know if I would call it standout.
All right, so maybe it stays over here.
Yeah.
For this, okay.
For now. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2. I feel weird kicking it out, so we're gonna leave it for a second. If you know any Payday 3 ones there, Kyle, too. Let's jump down to Zelda since you linked me this. I love the Zelda music.
The theme song is so good in this game. Yeah.
But their use of sound effects is also amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the ambient noise we talked about too. As you can hear, right? This is odd, but believe it or not, it builds up to a legit
a full orchestral theme. Yeah.
I'm gonna skip ahead here.
Bum, bum.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Get out of here, dude.
That's like the string thing. I know what that is. used that on some of my songs.
I feel like this could also be in one of those like mid 2000s martial arts movies, like Hero or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, I gotta stop.
Shamisen.
All right.
But even like Ganon's song, like you want to talk about like you said a lot of music got reused. It did, but there's a lot of songs that did. Like Ganon wasn't it? You know, like all those songs are just so unique in that one.
These two together might not make our top 10 for this year, just because of the fact that there's some reuse, and that's not a diss on it. It's more of I want to highlight new stuff as much as we can with these debates. But boy, it's so, and that theme song is brand new. That's not like the Breath of the Wild theme song that they just remixed. Like it is a brand new. They wrote tons of new music for this, so please don't get me wrong. They absolutely did. Payday 3. Did you have any? If we get back to that, we can.
No, it's not weird. I just wanted to bring up that there was a connection with like the game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Planet of Lana, guys, the music is so good in this game.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
It shouldn't be, but it is. And of course, the game is a very like moving story of this girl who's on a journey, she's trying to survive, and then makes.
That's right. It's like a Shawshank piano part. So they repeat that part a lot.
Yeah, that little tune.
That part.
And then it goes down.
It's actually in the gameplay at times as well.
Yeah,
there's elements of that little melody that's in the gameplay that you have to match.
It reminds me so much. It reminds me so much of the Shawshank theme for some reason, which is the piano part is like a little similar.
There's also a song that kicks in during the game. Usually it's just credits, but during the game there's a song where this lady sings, and usually that's intrusive, but boy does it work well. Let's see if I get to it.
I like this.
Super good.
See if I can get to a part where she sings the whole melody. Little anime style, you know?
Yeah. I'm here for that.
Yeah, this lady's got a beautiful voice, and it just fits so well.
Oh man!
Come on.
Video game music's pretty good.
I gotta send you the desert while we're on this game. Go to like a minute 20 of the Desert Chase theme, because they reused that piano theme in like a bigger.
A minute 20, you said?
Yeah, it's like on the Desert Chase. Yeah. See, it's the same motif.
Yeah, but this time it's like, but it's like horns.
The instruments are different. Yeah.
And this is when you're like either. I don't even think you're controlling the game at this part. You're like kind of like running away from something, or going down a hill or something like that in the desert.
He did some Clone Wars music. He did Mythic Quest. That's hilarious. Yeah, man. That's amazing.
This person's incredible. Oh, they were composer for GoldenEye 007. What?
Oh my word!
Stop it!
All those the most famous N64 bops you can think of from GoldenEye. Yeah, that's this guy. Wow.
Before we move it up to, I think Payday 3 is going to stay over here. Before we move Ravenlock up to join those, I just wanted
to. It was the Wii game. Never mind.
Not the movie.
Still.
Or not the N64
Not
game.
the N64 game. Yeah,
here's just a little taste of Ravenlock, which visually and musically one of the more underrated of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But here's Ravenlock, one of their tunes.
I like it.
Yeah, I like this too.
Yeah, really, really good.
Feeling it.
And the visuals in this game are great too. But I don't think game's going anywhere. So we'll leave it here. Yeah, really cool little game. Hey guys, there's this little indie game you might have heard of that's got some good tunes in it.
Oh sure.
No, I know exactly what that is.
Sea of Meh, right? Sea of Meh.
Sea of Meh. Yeah. Obviously, this is Sea of Stars.
That's just the opening menu. Oh my god, it gets so crazy.
Dude,
there was so many songs to choose from.
Also, want to point out specifically with this game the fact that I feel like such a dipshit. I can't remember his name right now, but literally the guy that made the Chrono Trigger soundtrack, like. was involved in Chrono Trigger, Xenogears, helped with some of the songs on their soundtrack for this game. So, like, I mean, come on, like that's crazy.
Yeah, I think Sea of Stars is at least in the conversation here. I'm gonna move Shadow Gambit.
This is like not even the most appeling song that they have on
it. But it's nice.
No, you're right.
It's
nice
so
much stuff.
It's recognizable just because it's on the.
Yeah, because it boots up on that. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave Shadow Gambit over here, but I just want you to hear how great they did with the piratey music here.
Oh.
Love me some piratey music.
That's some Hans Zimmer shit. Pirates of the Caribbean type. Yeah.
Come on, that's
Nailed
good.
it. Nailed it.
Yeah. Isn't that great? It's such a good melody. They did a great job with this, man. Love it.
So good.
All right, there's so many songs to choose from when it comes to Star Wars. I don't even know where to start. So this is the Undercity one, which I thought was really good, but there's so many good ones. And it doesn't have a central theme, at least not on the soundtrack that I could find that was clear. But I do want to say this. If for no other reason Star Wars Jedi Survivor deserves credit, on Spotify, possibly other players, the little timeline on the desktop app for Spotify becomes a lightsaber that starts to fill up as it goes.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I'm going to be busy for the next hour, guys. Just watching that go by.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Oh, you found a good track. Okay, cool.
That's a good one, yeah. Fields of Dusk.
Fields of Dusk, okay.
It's so John Williamsy. He would add all those.
John Williamsy, yeah.
Oh, why can I not find it? Oh, that is so good. Oh, here it is. So this is also Jedi Survivor, Fields of Dusk. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, get into it.
It's a rampart.
There's the horns.
French of the French variety.
Does that not sound a little bit like Star Wars there, guys?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
It's Star Warsy, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a kind of Star Warsy.
It's Star Warsy. So good.
Hey, how you doing? It's got some Star Wars. You
Hey,
like
a
some
little
Star Wars?
for here, a little Star Wars for there.
Hey.
We'll circle back to Starfield because it has actually some somewhat similar vibes with use of like the horns and kind of the sci-fi sweeping epic feel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
the one I dumped in there is it's my definitely favorite in the game.
For Starfield, let's go ahead and do it right now since you already did it.
It's not hornsy either, so it won't sound too similar.
But is it horny though?
It is horny. It's a very horny.
Making me horny, baby.
Well, it's a Bethesda game for you.
It's These are horny games.
Oh, so is this one that's kind of like the Western?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They did such a good job with their main planets and main cities, giving them their own feel, and the music was a big part of that.
This sounds like a space cowboy, like
it is. That's exactly
dude.
What this town
it's
is.
very
It's a space cowboy
Firefly-like.
town, yeah.
This is very Firefly-like right here.
Very Firefly. Yeah.
We don't take kindly to your cat. That's what I imagine him saying when this is playing.
Yeah. You're not the right kind of human to live on this planet.
What do you think you're doing, son?
Oh, so good.
You're not tooting. You don't belong here.
The main theme of Starfield is excellent as well. You know,
the main theme is amazing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to cut a whole bunch. This is gonna be hard. I'm just gonna put it here too.
This is gonna.
Yeah,
okay,
especially because Mario Brothers Wonder is like one of my favorites of all of these. And
I'll just say, like for Persona 5 and Theatrhythm, these are like collections of songs that are already great and already existed.
Yeah, I prefer celebrating Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe both those need to stay over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Theater Rhythm
So
is
Persona 5
a collection, like Kyle said.
Yeah.
Again, it's a celebration of like one of the greatest.
Wins,
you know?
but
we'll do Mario Wonder in a second because we are going to move that one over for the final discussion.
Hell yeah, we are.
I think Mage Seeker's probably going to stay here, but I just think it's fascinating to have the guy Gareth Coker, who did the Ori soundtrack, did the Mage Seeker music.
I like
and
it.
I don't know about you guys, but I think this guy makes some good music.
He does
Ori sound and other soundtracks as well. It's not just Ori, but that's the one that he's most known for.
Yeah, he did Sparks of Hope. He did Mario plus Rabbids.
So that's a little bit, yeah. This one, lots of strings, obviously.
Yeah.
But clearly going for that sad sound. The Major Leaguer story actually does have a bit of a sad opening.
Yeah.
Like the setting is much
It's a
more
tragedy,
compared to
that's for
like
sure.
Convergence, which is much more like this kid from the streets and he's out here trying to take down the other guys on the streets. Like it's a little bit more of that edgy.
Yeah.
And
On the
Major
streets.
Seeker is more of a tragedy opening. Okay.
Yeah, you were one of those imprisoned people just because you had powers or whatever and didn't feel like being abused by the system anymore. Yeah,
exactly.
There's a whole it's a whole thing, guys.
All right, guys. I don't know that any of us will champion it because we didn't play a whole lot of Wo Long, but I at least wanted to play you a little bit of the music. It is so good.
No long to Wo Long.
Oh.
So long to Wo Long.
God damn it. Yeah.
Wait till it really gets into it, though. It's good.
Yeah, that is good. It's swelling up like.
Jeff's trying not to like it.
That is really good. That is very good.
Isn't it?
It's very rock and roll in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. The progression is rock and roll, but the instruments, none of them are.
Yeah.
Which is, So it's very, listen, the Wo Long soundtrack, this is a high quality production. That overall game of Wo Long is very high quality.
Yeah.
But none of us, I don't think, can really give it its due. All right, so let's.
If you like Wo Long, you're so wrong. Yes.
Yeah, and so long because I don't want you around.
Yeah, exactly. No schlong if you like Wo Long.
Good job, everybody. Everyone did a good job.
You don't have a schlong. All right.
Oh my gosh.
There it is.
Very proud of you guys. Proud of you guys.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, check this little fella out here.
Hey. Okay, you ready?
You can't help it as soon as you hear it. You just want to move.
And I just hear the flower guy in my head. It's like, yeah,
I can see the little mouth.
yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, wow, you can jump high. They're always like encouraging you.
Yeah, I love that guy.
You know, it actually reminds me of Smooth McGroove, who does a lot of like acapella tunes, video game ones especially. Have you guys ever listened to Smooth McGroove?
That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, I highly recommend his YouTube channel where he'll like film himself in all these different windows. A lot of times he's holding his cat, but he's doing acapella versions of famous video game tracks and stuff like that. He's great. Highly recommend checking him out. But yeah.
Imagine not nominating that, just hearing that alone, not nominating it for a game.
And that's like the first level too. Like right out the gate, you're like, oh, this is great. I mean, come on. Come on.
This is the forest theme from Mario Brothers Wonder.
And that's just so jolly. Like, I mean, they're going ham on that xylophone, right? They're just like.
Kaji Kondo.
And like, as you're playing that game, like, there's some callbacks to like classic stuff that, like, man, like, and I've been playing, you know, the Mario games more recently, like replaying them. And I'm just like, ooh, I immediately was like, oh, I'm a kid sitting on the floor playing Super Nintendo again. This is amazing. Like,
all right, so we do need to kick out, you know, half of these. So
great.
No,
kill
I'm
your
not
darlings. Kill your darlings.
So look at the ones that you love and say goodbye to them. All right, so
well, we already discussed Spider-Man 2 and Zelda and said there, you know, it might not make the 10.
Here's the problem, Jeff, is that we listened to the Zelda theme, and now I'm like, I wish I hadn't said that because I love music in that game so much.
Song's
like,
so good, dude.
Yeah, but we didn't listen to any Spider-Man 2. Is it?
Yeah,
worth...
I feel like it might be worth pulling that up because there's plenty of times where the main theme goes off in Spider-Man, and I'm just like, yeah, he's Spider-Manning.
He's Spider-Manning so hard.
Let's get ahead of here a little bit. Pretty sure this is one of the scenes where a character is trying to get the Venom suit off.
Sure.
That's what I mean.
Like, dude, the score in that moment was like gave me chills. Like, I mean, yeah, when that moment was happening. Yeah.
I mean, this is guys. This is good music.
This is really
Superhero.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
It's pretty all right.
It's pretty all right. Yeah.
Pretty okay. How you doing? Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
All right, so we know that that's excellent. Okay, what on here jumps out at you as something that like this is a shared ranking between four of us. That it's like, all right, there wasn't enough here for us to leave it on our shared list. It was something that like one that jumps out to me is Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah, no, that doesn't need to. Yeah, no.
Just because it's not something that a bunch of us have played.
I'm glad we listened to that song though, because that song was pretty.
Yeah, that was
great. Yeah,
never gonna play the game, but that was cool.
I
think we could take Jusant off.
I think so too.
I think we liked it, but it wasn't like it wasn't like Planet of Lana where it was like.
I wouldn't put it on over Spider-Man 2 personally.
Right. Same.
But for our
I
shared
like
list
it though,
especially,
but yeah,
I do like it a lot. Okay, so that helps a little bit. Let's keep trimming. We didn't listen to anything on Sea of Stars outside of the main theme. So do you want to pull up something else from that?
Oh my gosh, there's like you said, there's so many. That
if you just give me a title, I've got the soundtrack.
The album is like 80 tracks.
There's one that I'm thinking of. I'd have to look up just to see if I can remember.
There are literally 132 songs.
Not enough. Not enough.
Lair the Fleshmancer. I'm sending that to you right now.
Yeah, I mean this one right here is pretty early on, but this is a banger.
I love that.
Yeah, this one is early.
It's such a good.
Ooh,
it's a good start.
Drums coming in.
Yeah. It's a strong start to music.
All right, I'm looking for Lair. What'd you say it was? Lair of something. Holy cow! There are so many songs on this thing.
Yeah, there are.
Is it towards the bottom? What's the number on the album for the Lair? I don't have to open up chat.
Fleshmancer Lair is 120.
120.
Yeah, no big deal, guys. Just got to get through 120 songs.
I'm gonna skip ahead.
This might be the one that.
Yeah, buddy.
It's just so dark.
I love the synth, man. And this level is pretty gross for Sea of Stars standards.
You feel the grossness in the music. You're like,
and the fact that you have to like light up your pads every now and then to even see it all.
All right, I'm convinced Sea of Stars isn't going anywhere. I don't think. At least not yet. What about Bramble? Do we have to say goodbye to that one? It's really good, but I don't know that we can fight for it over some of these other ones. Bramble
we might have to because I want to fight for Planet of Lana more than that one.
I do too.
Yeah.
All right. So Bramble's got to move over. Bramble the Mountain King is out of here. Okay. Another thing, it's worth at least saying it out loud. Maybe this is a bad way of thinking, but when I think of the soundtracks of Baldur's Gate and Diablo, and there might be one or two others that fall in the same category, I'm kind of like, this is all really cool, like swelling fantasy music. Maybe it all needs to be acknowledged and stay on here. I'm just wondering, do we want both? There's some similarities. That's all I'm saying. As I listen through the two soundtracks.
Yeah, if we wanted to maybe pick one for the lane, or for to like
maybe
it's just a thought. That's fair.
I would probably say Baldur's Gate 3 out of the two.
I would too.
That's my take based on listening to the soundtracks.
Yeah. Diablo 4 is excellent. It may even be a little more varied because like it'll get really gothic on top of its fantasy themes as well. But like, man, I don't know. I feel like the music in Baldur's Gate 3 has like no right to be as good as it is. It's definitely like Lord of the Rings levels of just like, oh, this is like really fitting for this.
I'll tell you what, let's do this instead. Let's say, oops. Let me just start making a little collection of ones up here that are definitely on the list somewhere. They're just not ranked yet. So I think Baldur's Gate 3 is up there. Final Fantasy 16 is going to be on there. I don't know. We'll talk about Hogwarts Legacy in a second. I think Sea of Stars is going to be on there somewhere.
Yeah, I think that one is on there.
Okay.
Hi-Fi Rush feels like an obvious one, but it could.
I feel like Hi-Fi. We've already said it multiple times. You should
do we need to
listen
to? Do we need to listen to more songs of it? I will listen all night to Hi-Fi Rush.
I do think that song selection, like whoever curates the soundtrack, it's a part of it. So that does matter.
It's an obvious one it's my number one for the year with game music.
Wow.
And I went back and listened through it. And it's not because the music itself is better than all the other music. It's when I think of video game music, I have to take into account how it's used and why it was selected, which is why I love the Alan Wake 2 music so much too. But that it's my number one. So I'd like for it to be somewhere on the list. Doesn't have to be at the top or anything. But
we're keeping it on the list, pal.
Listen to them all, pal.
Listen to them all, pal.
God
damn it.
Octopath Traveler 2 has to be on our top 10.
I feel like it has to.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
put 2 songs on here, and like I like 30 songs that are in that game. So
I sent another one to me. It's one of the, and I have a second boss fight. If we just a little bit of each of them, like the boss fight themes in this game are like just right out the gate. It's like, oh, okay, like
I think I'm fighting a boss right now.
It's boss time.
Yeah.
And then like 30 to 40 seconds in, like
I'm already so in.
Gonna get to the good part.
It's like waiting for the bass to drop.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Here it comes right here. Yep, there it is. There it is.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the song's great. Good full band.
Well, you guys can't see this. I'm actually watching the battle on the. Someone has the. Yeah.
I'm literally forgetting to make a move because it's like.
So good, dude.
All right, so that's definitely on there. Okay.
And then there's this one, which I know I'm throwing a lot of Octopath to, but like this one also
is
on
the list, Dan.
All right. I know, but just real quick, can we just operatic like oh, you're all effed. You're all effed. Like
you're fighting something big and slimy coming out of the ocean for this one.
Yeah, literally.
I like that it keeps going back to the same rhythm, so you're not like, am I playing a different game?
Oh,
kind of going a lot.
It's just
really
smart.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
That's smart video game scoring, dude.
That's some music.
That's called using motifs in your music, dude.
Okay, so I'd like to make a case that Mario Brothers Wonder has to be on our top 10 somewhere. I think it's
that was a question.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Does anyone have is anyone like, no, I think there's 10 others that are better.
It's the most unique music I've heard like all year.
Yeah, no, I think that has to be on here.
Okay. Keep making some space here. So we've got 6 that we're saying are shoe-ins: Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy Sea of Stars, Hi-Fi Rush, Octopath, and Mario Brothers Wonder. So that means there's 4 spots left. Okay, we can go ahead and officially move Diablo over. I don't think we're not going to be able to fight, hang on to that one. 4 spots left for 8 games.
And it begins.
We have Alan Wake 2. We have, I think I'm the only one who would fight for Dredge. I'm okay with it not making our shared top 10. So Dredge,
that just got really moody and good music, though. I do agree with it.
Excellent.
It this far.
Excellent, moody, good music. Totally agree. All right, so that trims 1 off. We need to get rid of 3 more.
And we were folding up shop. We're done.
We're finished.
We're done.
So I think, listen, I think the music in both Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom, even though I just said, I don't know, should we keep them because they're similar? I don't know, man. The moments in those games, the key moments of the story and the things that are happening in those games, the music is a huge part of making those work so well.
Yeah, Marvel Spider-Man is cinematic also because of its music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's the spectacle, but it's also like the appropriate song coming in at the right time and everything as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I can say the same thing about Zelda as well. Like, even just like when you're doing little stuff out in the world and it's like nice and ambient, but when you get into a combat, it'll ramp up into something else, or maybe you go into a certain area and it'll shift into something else. Like, there's a lot of varied stuff there. But like, you just played that theme, and that theme has got to be one of the best songs that come out all year. So it's really hard for me to like be. Sorry, I'm getting like a little tunnel vision on just that one song, to be honest. But
I am absolutely with you. But it's not even just that. There's other themes that kick in.
There's plenty of songs in that game, man.
So let me see if I can find an example or two. That one's a little slower. Let me find a different one. That's a good one. That's Raru's theme. That one's really good. Oh, here we go. Here's a battle theme. Let's listen to this. So this is the battle with Master Koga.
Ooh, this song is good, yeah.
Because he's kind of a joke, like he's a bit of a goof.
Yeah.
So the music matches that. He's kind of this overweight ninja who's been trying to hunt you down, but he's stupid. So that kind of To me, that works pretty well. This is what Kyle's talking about. Lots of like ambient noises and just like drum hits as you're exploring. This is a Kakariko village. Let me do one more and then we'll look at something else. Let me see here. So here's a key battle one. Oh, this has to be on our top 10 somewhere.
It's pretty alright. It's pretty alright.
This is when you're battling Colgera. The early bosses. See, it's one of those things too where it's like you listen to a song, and if you've played the game and loved it, your mind goes there. You kind of like releases the whatever it is, the endorphins or whatever, right? Like, and you have that moment of like, yes. If you haven't, you might hear it and go, oh, that's pretty good. It's like I haven't played Octopath Traveler 2. So like when you guys heard that, you pictured the battle, you remember what it felt like. Like all it did for me was like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like I like that a lot. So same thing with Zelda. Like that's one of the interesting things about music is the way
part of the experience.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
The memory, that it brings up with it.
Yeah. So I'm really feeling, at the moment at least, like I'd rather keep Zelda in over even like Alan Wake 2.
I mean, the Zelda series has been known for. I mean,
like Final Fantasy, it's like it parallels with like being some of the best music in gaming.
I'm actually trying to find. I don't see any crossover tracks with Breath of the Wild, but I could be wrong.
Like the main Zelda theme is like one of the most iconic video game themes, like it's just.
It is. Yeah.
The series is known for that music.
Okay. What's on the cusp here? Is Starfield?
I don't know, y'all are really pushing Planet Alone, and I like what y'all played. Like, I feel like we should be talking about moving that
a little
up.
more of that.
Especially if you have another song, prepped for that one.
Oh yeah, we got some Planet Alana. Oh yeah, we do.
Boy, do we!
Believe me.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Here's when you meet your little buddy. So it's like these really sweet moments, and then there's going to be moments where things are not going super well.
Sure.
Yeah. No, that's not what I was thinking of. It's a different part. That's still cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going pretty hard for a game that is what it is.
Yeah, hear the theme?
Loosely, that theme is constantly coming up. I love it. And like when you put it in that context, it sounds like something more not of America. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like something from Egypt or something. But when you hear it in piano, it's like, oh, this sounds like classical European stuff. Like it's so cool how, I don't know, you recontextualize
I'm
it. Sounds
feeling
like
genre. Planet of Lana belongs there, and I feel like Alan Wake 2 might need to go off the list. Does anyone have any strong feelings about Alan Wake 2? I like the usage of music.
I just like the one song. I don't really know.
I'm and the a lot that I've played, like I don't, it's a lot of ambient music, it's not like, there's obviously those big musical number pieces, but like I think that as a collection of music goes, I think we might have better choices here.
Okay.
I agree.
So if that means we're down to 3 out of these 5.
To speed things up a little bit, like I like Starfield more than Star Wars in terms of their music.
And it's very new compared. Like it's all just original, like it's new. And let's just we didn't listen to any Survivor stuff, did we? Except for that one. Maybe we did 2.
Jedi Survivor has great
we did a couple,
music.
It does.
Starfield has, I feel like, a lot more variety though, because it's trying to capture a specific vibe for every planet and area that you're in.
Oh, apparently Jedi Survivor's like in my top 5. I didn't know that. Whoops.
It's really good. Like, again, we were talking about properties synonymous with the greatest music in the history of seeing things and hearing things with your eyeballs and earballs.
It really is just one of those things where, like, as we talk about it more and show it more, and then we compare it to other works that we're discussing, I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't know if it's my number 4 anymore.
Spider-Man 2 and Jedi Survivor, I actually have them right beside each other, right at the bottom of my top 10, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of good music this year. So I have them both in there, but they're at the bottom. I loved them a lot. I didn't realize this. I have Zelda like at 4, so I don't know why I even tried to throw it out the window.
You really
You did.
that one, Tim.
What a backstabber.
I was trying to be. I think I was trying to be gracious.
I know. Yeah, you were really being diplomatic, and I was like, I think I'm going to follow suit on this one. He's setting up a really good play here, and then I was like, wait a minute, that theme's great though. Yeah.
No, what are you doing? And as I'm looking through all the different track, even just the track names, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Never mind.
Even the song for the depths is really good, man. Like that song's great.
And I don't care if it's at number 10. I just want it on the list. I just think it's so good. All right, so does Jedi Survivor take the move over at like essentially number 12-ish?
What do you guys feel? Is Survivor under like Spider-Man? Is it under Hogwarts? Is it under Star? Like, how do y'all feel about that?
I have Hogwarts above it. Hogwarts music stuck out to me a lot more throughout my playthrough.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my number 2 or 3. 3. It's number 3. I feel very strongly about Hogwarts, and that hasn't really changed based on what we've discussed and shown here. Whereas with Jedi Survivor, based on what we've shown and discussed so far, I'm like, we should probably move that over now. Like, because I mean, it serves the game extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
But when we listen to tracks outside of it, I'm kind of like, I think these other ones are better. Like, I mean, you have to factor in both, really.
Trying to find some examples of Hogwarts besides just really cool.
I think the Welcome to Hogwarts is great. Is this a rage? Is this the rage one?
That's Ranrock's Rage. Here's the proper Hogwarts Welcome. This one is great.
This one's so good. And you can picture yourself walking around the castle when you hear this. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's Harry Gregson Williams who does the movies, right?
John Williams did for the longest time.
I'm sorry, John Williams. That's who I meant. I was trying to make a Star Wars connection. So we have 2 things on here who are trying to do John Williams, which is kind of fun.
Oh, John Williams, I guess he hopped out at some point, but everybody else after him was just emulating him. So
right. It is stuff that's emulating him.
Right.
Especially when you're doing. Let me do the soaring over Hogwarts real quick.
Everything's just so like
it's magical, man.
I hear these tunes and I just go, "This is magical. This is so magical." Literally.
Which I mean, that's exactly what you should appropriate.
All right, so I think Hogwarts is on the top 10 somewhere.
I think so too.
And I think Zelda is. That means we got to decide between Spider-Man 2 and Starfield, which are both excellent scores. They both work wonderfully.
And both very cinematic.
I love both these games too, so it's not like which game do you like more? Like just thinking of the music, it's wonderful.
Hogwarts is so good to talk over and to listen to quietly.
I know. Like it's just still letting it play.
It's so cool how it can do both ambience and it can be something you listen to actively. I don't know. What a varied score. I love that score. Anyway, we might end up going with Starfield then for not to make it sound like Spider-Man 2 is wholly unoriginal, but for originality's sake. Starfield's making its music from scratch. What I heard sounds good. Like, I mean, I know I only heard like the one song, but and whatever 3 hours of it
is this the
played.
Theme?
This is Starfield. This is First Flight.
Oh,
it's using pieces of the theme.
It's so pretty.
There's so many moments as I'm flying around or exploring or hitting a new planet. I'm just like, ooh, this music is perfect for this.
Inon Zur did the score. What a name!
It's a great name.
Yinon.
Is that not the same guy who did Skyrim? That's crazy.
It's
Todd. I'm finding all these composers from.
Let me look at his works because he's done a bunch of stuff. You said he did Skyrim, or you suspect?
No. I'm thinking he didn't do Skyrim.
Oh, okay.
I'm
he did do Elder Scrolls Blades. Everybody loves that one.
I'm wondering where Bethesda keeps on finding all these great composers.
I know, right?
He did Fallout New
Skyrim
Vegas.
music is like legendary.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did Fallout 3.
Oh, nice.
He also... There was a Skyrim concert in 2021, and he did the Starfield score on it, which is pretty rad. It looks like it's mostly Bethesda. He did Outriders, Game of the Year for current gen.
Outriders.
Well, let's hear Neon.
Neon! I can play John Mayer Neon if you want me to play that.
Do it.
I'm gonna lean towards Starfield, but not like it's by a lot or anything.
I'm Starfield myself.
Dan, what do you think? Do you have a strong inkling one way or the other, Dan?
No, we can do Starfield. Starfield sounds good.
And so Spider-Man and Jedi Survivor hitting the bricks as at pretty much 11 and 12.
So they're trash. They're trash.
Two completely cinematic games that are enhanced by their music scores, but fuck those games
Yeah,
and their
so
scores.
terrible.
Yeah.
That's what this means. That's what these
suck it.
lists mean. Yeah. Yeah, these lists mean that. All right, guys,
They
let's
get
get to
deleted
ranking.
from everywhere tomorrow. Nobody would care. That's what we're trying to say.
That's what we're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're saying, and if anyone likes them, they're idiots. They shouldn't like them.
Hey, your ears are gonna thank us for axing those forever.
You're welcome.
I think Dan's just happy the Octopath is in there because he keeps sending me new Octopath songs to highlight.
You'll be trying to go to bed and he's still sending you tracks.
Hey, Tim, can I send you this?
Can you give me the aux cable?
All right, so if you're just listening, congratulations for making it this far. So we've got, let me just organize these alphabetically real quick, just so there's no, they aren't yet. I'm not trying to imply any kind of ranking yet. So Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy, Hi-Fi Rush, Hogwarts, Octopath, Planet of Lana, Sea of Stars, Starfield, Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. I do think, mainly just because there's two of us, and I appreciate you guys digging it. I think Planet of Lana is probably towards the bottom. I don't know exactly where.
It's very pretty.
Very
I
pretty.
do enjoy
I
it.
like that a lot.
Really good music. And I don't know, am I the only one who has Hi-Fi Rush that high?
I don't have it that high, I don't think.
I don't have it that high, but
Should it even? Is it crazy that it's on here? Maybe it's just because.
No, it's not crazy that it's definitely not crazy that it's on here.
Okay.
I don't think that's.
I like more the execution again of the combination of the two things.
Yeah.
Maybe that also belongs in the bottom half somewhere.
Yeah. But
Just
it's
based
just not
on
music.
what you guys are like your preferences, right?
Right.
Am I reading
Yeah.
that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in the bottom half. We don't know where.
Starfield felt like it just made it on, so maybe that's in the bottom half.
Okay. Yep, I agree with that.
Well, this might be crazy what I'm about to say. Baldur's Gate 3 might be in the bottom half too.
Yeah, it's not top
based
for me,
on-
but it's good.
I don't
It's not
know.
top for me.
I don't know.
It's top for me, but
Okay.
I mean, obviously, it's a majority rules type of situation.
Is it your
so
number? So that's your
Hmm.
number one.
It's
music?
in my top 2 or 3. Yeah.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it?
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay.
then disregard.
What about Hogwarts?
That's pretty high for me. It almost Michelle. She's a big fan of Hogwarts. So yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
didn't
like
realize
number
the
3 or
president
something.
was here.
Maybe Tears of the Kingdom and Sea of Stars are both kind of in the top of the bottom half here.
The
Top of
literal
bottom.
president.
Top of the bottom to you.
Top of the
Top
bottom.
of the bottom. Too. Hey,
Do the-
that's
do
when you
these
put it like
two-
that. It's not a bad thing to be.
Sea of Stars and Tears of the Kingdom live somewhere in this lower
live with
mid
that.
range. I'm just going based on like
Sure.
I feel like
I just after what I've heard of Zelda, I'm kind of like that's better than what I've heard of Baldur's Gate. I don't know, man.
oh I've got it much higher than Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
I do too. Yeah, Zelda will probably be my
Um,
number 1, to be honest.
I've got it and Mario Wonder essentially neck and neck alongside with Final Fantasy
have-
16. Like I've got those three kind of in that same bucket.
Well, I
right
have
behind Hi-Fi Rush.
I have 16 the highest. Then I have Mario Brothers Wonder because that score is just some of the most unique crap I've ever heard in my life. It's so good.
It's Zelda, 16, and Baldur's Gate. Those are my top 3.
Damn.
Not that makes it any
All right,
easier.
so it sounds
what
like
we're doing.
and Dan,
I don't know. Octopath Traveler may have snuck in those top 3 after listening.
listening
Yeah,
to some of
after-
those tunes,
yeah. After
yeah.
reminiscing about
Yeah.
my February, basically.
I feel like
yeah.
Octopath Traveler might deserve to be moved into a topper echelon,
Yeah.
type of.
So maybe
We're gonna have a 6-way tie for
top
number 1.
group
I'm
are some.
gonna throw a wrench into this whole thing. I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw a
let's
wrench
hear it.
into this whole
Uh-oh.
thing.
Let's hear the
Uh-oh.
wrench.
Dave the Diver.
it's-
Oh, sorry.
It's like by a hair ahead. But Octopath Traveler 2 is my favorite music of the year. So.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
above
so it's in-
16.
It's in the top.
Even
group, I
above
think.
16.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
After this revisit, it might be for me too, Dan.
Yeah,
So.
it's somewhere in
Yeah.
this top group. I feel like these four have set themselves apart based on
Yeah,
what
that's
I'm
fair.
hearing.
Okay.
I think
And then
that's fair.
These two are both loved by two of you, right?
Yeah.
Like Jeff loves
Yeah.
Hogwarts. I like it a lot, and Kyle loves Baldur's Gate. We both, and all of us.
Yeah, I
acknowledge
like
it's
Baldur's
great.
Gate 3 a lot too. I'm not making.
So
making
those
it
are
sound like,
somewhere. I think those are
what
right.
are we doing, guys? It's
Sea of Stars, right above Starfield, right around. Oops, it's gone. Right
Yeah,
around
and it's
there.
gone. I'm. You know what? I'm. Whatever. I'm happy with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like Sea of Stars is so good, but like look at what's above it. That's just crazy.
I know.
That's so wild.
I
to
know. I know.
Yeah. It's such a varied score for what it's trying to do. Like for being a throwback score, it's doing so much extra.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. I think I only similar to like what I think I was saying with story Octopath too. I think because it is actually a bigger game and a longer game. There's like more places that you're going to, so there's more of variety in Octopath too. Like the score is very distinct. Like going to all the different areas that you go in that game because it is a larger game.
Has their own theme.
They have their own theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I sent you like the boss theme, but then there's like slight variations of that first boss theme that I sent, and then there's that other boss theme, which is like the ultimate boss theme. Like as you're getting closer to the end of the game, I don't know. It's just Like I loved 16's soundtrack. I obviously really enjoyed it, but there were almost similar to what were we saying a second ago? Alan Wake 2, where there's like areas where it's like ambient stuff. There were areas in 16 where I was like, oh yeah, no, this is a nice tune, but it wasn't like hitting me like how other Final Fantasies have. But then there are the ones that do really hit hard.
See, the reason I've got it in my top 4, it's right behind Zelda and Mario for me. But the reason I've got it that high above these others is because those boss fights, the music is such a standout for me. Yeah. Like those moments alone were enough for it to stay up there. So good. Jeff, between Sea of Stars and Hogwarts, where do you land on those two?
Oh, Hogwarts. And you know what? It's probably nostalgia. It's probably nostalgia driving it, much like, I mean, it could be that for Sea of Stars. I don't know. Could be that for Dan. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Dan, do you have a thought between Baldur's Gate and Hogwarts, Dan or Kyle?
Of what I was just hearing, Hogwarts is very strong. I think Baldur's Gate, slight edge. Because that main theme and like just the kind of like little bit of.
We didn't listen to much of Baldur's Gate 3. Do we need to pull any of that up, or are we good?
I think I'm good. There's so many variations on songs in that score too, based on what you're doing. So it's just a brilliant score.
I'll just put someone on the background while you guys are talking.
Yeah, sure, why not? But yeah, I don't know, and it could just be the Harry Potterness of the, or the Harry P, if you want to, call it
Harry P
for short. The Harry P-ness of it could be why I love it so much. Well, never mind. I want to go to battle now. Anyway, but yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, I expected to be above it.
Hey, this men's choir did not get a break during the production of this game. They were.
Neither the pretty girl who sings all the pretty girl songs.
Sure.
Which there's like 10 of them. Like
I think
where
that's
it's
what
just
they're
like
called too. PGS.
Yeah, PG4. I'm more partial to PG3, but
All right, so between Zelda and Mario, I've got Zelda just above it, but I love the Mario Brothers Wonder soundtrack. I'm okay with either of those. I don't know if I know Dan and Kyle, you've played both of these games, at least a little, if not a lot. So
played a lot of both, yeah.
Do you have
I do enjoy the Mario Wonder soundtrack. I do appreciate it. I lean more epic stuff. That's just more my preference. But the Mario Wonder soundtrack is like, it's
amazing.
It's like jazz on speed.
In the top 4
so
where
good.
it is, but it might be the 4th of these 4 for me.
Yeah.
And what about between Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy 16? Think about the music of each of those.
Shit.
I don't want to pick between those two. They're both so good.
Yeah.
Music is more constant in 16, to be fair.
It's what?
16 is the music is more constant, right? Because that's kind of what we've brought up before.
Yeah. Whereas Zelda relies, because there's so much downtime between things. It relies a little more on ambient.
Very true.
Plucking.
Yeah, that's very true. There might be a little more dynamics, if that helps at all, for anyone who's trying to make a decision in 16. Like a little bit more variation between different areas you're in and boss fights you're in and moments that are like, whereas Zelda, there's a little more of it's what you expect. It delivers, but it's a little more what you expect. Final Fantasy 16, the music itself, I actually said out loud a few times, like, what is this music? They're like, what is this? Because it would go into like this.
What
like
was the
metal
fight
style
where it
music during
turns
a boss
into like
fight?
techno or something?
Well, that's the second. Is it the second big boss fight or the third?
It's like the second one you're big for. You're a giant.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, what is this? But in a good way. Like, I mean, like in the best way possible.
And that one fight, it changes. It starts as like you said, almost like the kind of techno-y, but then it goes back to like traditional final, like orchestral, like medieval fantasy style. But it's that same song, like so. It's like changing as the phases are happening, like, which is ridiculous.
That Odin one is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I very vividly remember that score.
The one where
and
they're
how
in the
epic
ocean,
that
or
was.
one towards the end?
Both.
Okay, yeah, I was
I feel
gonna say
like
the ocean one
yeah.
stands out to me, but
I feel like they made him like, I don't know. They just, even though Ultima was really ultimately the final boss, hence the name. Odin had, I don't know. His presentation just felt like more epic through the music, at least. I remember that very vividly. But yeah, splitting the ocean, man, that ocean stuff was wild.
That's some Moses stuff right there.
Yeah.
The song I was thinking of earlier, Tim, is I always call it the Phoenix theme, but it's Away, which is like the first pretty much the first song that you hit like here when you boot up the game, and it just kind of goes balls to the wall. Like that.
There's also this one, the Find the Flame one.
Yes. Yeah. This is a culmination.
So of course, Square and Nintendo, who are taking over our top spots here.
Oh my gosh.
They're pretty stingy with their soundtracks, and so these top four are hard to find tracks for. I was gonna punish one of them for it, but I can't. All four of the top four are Square and Nintendo.
Is Away not on there?
No, they don't. Their little prelude that they offer on streaming is 5 songs.
Oh, that's dumb.
So you said Away, and Kyle's like, I'm going away.
All right. He's like, oh, that's my cue. Yeah, I don't know. I have Wonder above, like, yeah, Final Fantasy is like my top, and then Wonder is above that for me. I don't know.
Wonder's number 1?
I'm sorry. Wonder's below that. It's
You don't actually have to play. I'm just saying in case you didn't want to do it.
Which one is this? Oh, this is Final Fantasy.
And it's about the 30-second mark. So. Like the second the violin here just starts going ham, like, come on.
All right, there's a reason this one won at the Game Awards, right? For music.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
Shooting all the different homing missiles at.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just.
All right, so listen, out of these 4, I would essentially put Octopath Traveler underneath Mario, and that's my top 4. Based on what we're saying, I personally have Zelda above Final Fantasy, but it's a push. Like they're so close for me. Those 3 at least. Yeah. Octopath I think is excellent. It just doesn't hit for me as much because I didn't play that game, so it's not at all an insult to it. But this right here is how I would personally order it based on what we're all saying. Maybe Mario above Zelda. I'm okay either way with that. But yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm the only one that's saying
what I would
that
do.
It's then in the first spot, but that's just my
personal. I mean, no, I'm with you, Dan. I think Octopath is number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. That's 2 for
Jeff. Where would you put Octopath?
I put it exactly where. I mean, I would put Mario Wonder above Zelda, but I mean that's just splitting hairs. But yeah, it's not my number 1. It's whatever. It is what it is.
Well, I want to. What did you say there? I don't know. Where would you want Octopath?
I want to get a good feel for where does everyone have Final Fantasy 16?
That's my first.
Of these 4, we got to just keep it with these 4.
Yeah.
It's my first. That's my numero uno.
My number 2.
That's my poppy.
And it's Dan's number 2.
Number 2. Very close. Very close.
Okay. And then you guys both have Octopath as your number 1. Mm-hmm. Jeff and I both have it as number 4. Right? Out of these 4?
Oh, out of these 4, yeah.
That sounds right.
Okay, that's what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah. Not overall.
Right.
That's where it gets a little tricky. All right, it's time to do a little math. You guys.
We're
gonna settle this with some numbers.
Mathing?
Yeah, we are. All right, so excuse me. This one's got 10 total. Kyle, give me you got 1, and then Final Fantasy is 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Zelda's 3 and Mario's 4.
And Jeff, you had
what?
Final Fantasy 1?
Yeah, Final Fantasy is at Uno. It's Uno, how you doing? Why did you put 10 for? I'm so confused about the 10.
Don't worry about it. I just already added it up. Go ahead. You had
Mario
Mario
I
2?
see. All right. Yeah. So the Wonder would be 2, and then Zeld's Taki.
All right, give that one that. And then Dan, you have this first, and you've got Final Fantasy second, right?
Yep. And then Tears would be third, and Mario would be fourth.
It's the Tears of the Kingdom. I love that song.
That song's at the very end when the credits.
Yeah, I can't believe they got the guy that Brian Adams. What's his name? No, not Brian Adams. The other guy, Michael Bolton, to sing that song. It's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Tears of the Kingdom, and the crying for you.
Basically goes.
It's late. I don't know.
This order is almost already. This order is almost correct.
Okay.
Tears of the Kingdom and Octopath are pretty much tied, but we can leave them in this way because it's got 2 number 1 votes. We'll just leave it.
Yeah.
Close enough. We got Final Fantasy 16 at number 1, Octopath Traveler 2 at number 2, Tears of the Kingdom at 3, and Mario Brothers Wonder at 4. Dude, such good soundtracks.
What a stupid year for music. I mean, in games in general, but like this is exceptionally dumb.
All right.
Everybody needs to stop being talented. Knock it off.
Yeah, knock it off.
Cut it out, everybody.
So at number 10, we've got Planet of Lana. At number 9, we've got Hi-Fi Rush. Number 8 is Starfield Xbox. Number 7 is Sea of Stars. Number 6 is Hogwarts Legacy. Number 5 is Baldur's Gate 3. 4 is Mario Brothers Wonder. 3 is Tears of the Kingdom. 2 is Octopath Traveler 2. And number 1, top music of the year, Final Fantasy 16. Guys, there's one that we forgot. Let me just play this for you real quick. This is an important one you need to hear. Hang on. Do you know what this is from?
I don't know. Skull Island?
Dead Space.
No, but that would be a good shout out to Gaston to wrap this up. No, man, that's Redfall, bro. The Redfall music is actually surprisingly good.
Wow, that is surprisingly quality. I
was like,
expected
all
it
right,
to be like shitty AI sounding or something. I don't know.
Because the game looks like AI made it. Is that
something like that.
Yeah.
The composer of that game was Zygmunt Bon Toms.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Just Google him and you'll be like, never mind. I don't want to pronounce that at all.
Well, listen, that was long, but we made it. Good job, everybody. I think some of the other categories, because story and music, now that I'm looking at it, probably a bad one to match up. They're both pretty lengthy discussions with all the clips we had to listen to. That's okay. We're going to fly through the next ones. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for staying up super late. All three of you, especially Dan. It's, what is it, 2:30 for you?
I'm a big boy. I could stay up late.
Yeah, you can handle it. You can handle it.
Mom said I could stay up late.
And it's New Year's weekend, so I mean, we should all be up
Extra
late tomorrow anyway, unless we're old. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm probably going to fall asleep at 10:30. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be honest.
I'm not making it to midnight. That's crazy.
Yeah. No.
I can't even believe I'm awake right now, to be honest.
Yeah, but hey, this has been good. We've got so many more games to celebrate and aspects of games to celebrate over the next couple weeks. So thank you for hanging out with us so far, you guys. We'll see you next time as we tackle the next couple of categories. We'll tell you what they are when that happens, all right? Because they might change throughout the week as we talk, so we'll figure it out. Yeah. Thank you for checking us out. Thanks for being here. See you.